NASCAR's most unpredictable speedway, Talladega, and the Aaron's 499 on Fox. Delayed by morning rain, the track is dry, little dampness at the end of pit road where they had pre-race ceremonies, but a nice crowd on hand to see these cars run upwards of 200 miles an hour in tight packs and two driver tandems. Here's a look at today's Geico starting grid. Jeff Gordon, 20 straight seasons with a pole, tying David Pearson's record, and A.J. Allmendinger's best start at Talladega. That's your front row. Marcus Ambrose and Eric Almirola each have their best start of the season, row 2. Casey Kane, top 10 starts in the last 9 races, and Greg Biffle, whose first career win came at Daytona in a plate race. Carl Edwards, second here twice, and Tony Stewart, a winner here in 08. Michael Waltrip has 4 career wins, all on plate tracks, and Matt Kenseth, who won the Daytona 500 this year. Trevor Bayne, last year's 500 winner, and Juan Pablo Montoya, the runner-up here in 08. Brad Keselowski, the 2009 winner, and Ryan Newman looking to rebound on the plate track since joining Stewart-Haas. Martin Truex has a 5th place finish here, and rookie Josh Wise makes his best career start. Paul Menard and 5-time Talladega winner Dale Earnhardt Jr. And rounding out the top 20, Jimmy Johnson, a 2-time Talladega winner, and Kevin Harvick, who won this race 2 years ago. Have a look at the rest of the starting lineup. Let's go to the front row, Darrell.
Jeff Gordon, it's DW. Got a copy there, my friend?
Hey, DW, I sure do.
Hey, man, congratulations on winning at least one pole for the last 20 years. Nice job.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's pretty awesome. This one's all because of this team. You know, obviously we know what it takes to win a restrictor plate pole, and these guys have been getting the job done on these things, and it's pretty cool to have DuPont on board, too, celebrate 20 years with them.
Roger that. Jeff, I know that you and your teammates have had varying strategies at these restrictor plate races. What have you guys worked out today? Do you have a plan?
You know, with these rules, I just don't think there's a real set plan. I think you're going to have to play it by ear. I mean, the goal is the same, and that's, you know, to be there at the end when it counts most, to be in a position to win this race. It looks like being in second on that last lap, or at least coming off turn 4 is the place to be. So we're going to do whatever it takes to get us there. You know, we got to watch the cooling and watch these fenders, but we certainly have a race car that can do it and a race team that can do it.
10-4, buddy. One more quick question. Is the temps going to be a problem today?
It is for the guys that are going to be pushing. We don't plan on pushing until it's for the win. We see the checker flags in sight.
All right, my friend. You're the best. Have at it. Good luck.
All right, DW. Thank you. Hope everybody enjoys it. Should be a heck of a show.
Jeff Gordon from the pole in his DuPont Chevrolet. Let's get down to pit road for late-breaking stories, beginning with Matt Yoakum.
Mike, back in Daytona, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was the Lone Ranger in the Chevy camp against those fast Roush Fords. He finished second, and you could hear the confidence in Dale Jr.'s voice and on his face in his sit-down with Michael Waltrip. They feel like this is the best shot he has had here at Talladega in about 8 years to go back to victory lane. This rules package, much like he had when he was so successful in his restrictor plate heyday. Keep an eye on the 88. They're going to be good. Dick Berggren?
Well, Daytona 500 winner Matt Kenseth has a fast car, qualified 10th for this afternoon's race, but they have had troubles with a vibration. It started early in practice. They changed the drive shaft. The vibration went away, but then it came back. They are worried in Matt Kenseth's pit about a vibration because Matt says it eats speed. Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, Matt Kenseth's teammate Greg Biffle says it's good news, bad news here at Talladega for him. He said, I run well here, I just never finish well. He said he learned a lot from the season-opening Daytona 500, and that lesson is he wants to be out front. He said if anything happens where he gets mid-pack, he's going to get out of there as fast as he can because that's where trouble unfolds. Up front is where he wants to be, Chris Devoda.
Well, Steve, Casey Kane started the season with a wreck at Daytona, but he said that was the most power he had ever had in a car at that track. And he says the car he has here today at Talladega is even better. Now, the season has been quite a bit of a slump for Casey Kane, but he told me he feels like things have already turned the corner. Jeff Hammond?
Well, Krista, Darrell and Mike like to talk about hot spots. Today, this is my hot spot. Cars have come down through here to the start-finish line at over 200 miles an hour, and for these fans sitting right here, they've got a front-row view of exactly what's going to happen, whether it be a big and exciting crash or another history-making finish. Mike?
Thank you, Jeff. Jet dryers exiting the track at the start-finish line, drying up where pre-race activities were held. This race is brought to you by Budweiser, beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, fast finish. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. .43 drivers at the ready. Only J.J. Yaley failed to make that 43 car field. We talked to some of these 43 about the challenges of Talladega.
Talladega is the biggest, the fastest, and the meanest track. I don't get nervous anymore when I get in a race car, but I have to admit on Sunday mornings I'm nervous at Talladega.
200 plus miles an hour, inches away from one another.
You can also be leading on the last lap and end up wrecked and in a big pile.
You have to take some big chances in the closing laps and hold on tight.
They're in the 4,000-foot back straightaway, half a lap from the start of this 499-mile race on a day where it may hit 90 degrees, and it is hot and muggy after morning rain. A bit of a breeze and a little bit of sun to help dry the track, mostly cloudy this afternoon.
You know something you replace after this race? The steering wheel, because you will have such a grip on that thing that you will squeeze it till there's nothing left.
Pace car runs 70 miles an hour, 55 on pit road.
Fuel window for Sunoco Race Fuel, 42 to 46 laps. Things get interesting on pit road. David Gilliland, Travis Quapple, a couple of teammates there going to the rear of the field, unapproved adjustments.
Getting on pit road here, Larry, coming off a track at 190 miles an hour and trying to get down to pit road speed. Got to be careful with those tires if you don't plan on changing them.
They're between turns 3 and 4, more than a mile from our position above the start-finish line. And in Friday's and Saturday races here, the leader right there was not the leader back at the finish line on the last lap.
That's what I loved about our pre-race show, the piece we did with the start-finish line, Mike. How many guys would have won here if that line had been in the middle of the tri-oval?
And you're one of them.
I would have won. I would have got one more.
That's right. A lot of onboard views for you today, and you see a lot of devices in there to help drivers keep their cool. Into the tri-oval, where that final move must be made to get to the finish line and victory lane. Talladega is ready to race.
Green flag is in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go four-wide racing, boys.
All the way down through the short chute, Ambrose was giving Jeff Gordon a shove, and Gordon pops out from the pack with the lead.
You see Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 car, notorious for going to the rear at the start of these restrictor plate races. I'm sure his teammate Jamie McMurray and the one's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, but did you see Jeff Gordon? He got such a jump, and this is what you got to watch out for on a restart. He got way out there, and you see how everybody's just eating him up. He was a setting duck.
So Ambrose in the 9 pushed Jeff Gordon away from the pack so he could hook up with his Richard Petty Ford teammate Eric Almirola in the 93. Can they lead the first lap? Don't count on it. Here comes the outside lane, led by Tony Stewart, pushed by Matt Kenseth, followed by Ryan Newman, and Stewart leads lap 1.
I'd say that Matt Kenseth feels pretty good about that vibration, because it's a good vibration right now.
3 wide, halfway back. Dale Jr. down on the bottom, Jeff Burton in the middle.
Here they're 3 wide, about 8 rows deep from about 12th on back.
And we've had a lot of rain, but grip is not a problem here. The only thing I think I worry about a little bit is that little rear blade these cars have on them. Make them a little bit unpredictable getting into the corner.
Dale Jr. sweeps to the outside in front of Allmendinger as this all happens back at the back of the top 20.
But as we look out, I love to look at the cars when they're in the turns, because the body is almost dragging the ground. They get up on the straightaway, the car comes up off the ground a little bit, gets a little free.
Stewart and Kenseth continue to lead, and that outside line is not making any hay here.
That's the same thing we saw in the Daytona 500. That second groove you could maintain, but you just couldn't move to the front.
Kevin Harvick, the black and red 29, backing up to Dale Earnhardt Jr., A.J. Allmendinger, and the rest of that outside lane.
It's a little bit early. I'm not making any predictions about what line's going to go and what line isn't going to go, because it's going to change.
In the ARCA race Friday, the Nationwide race Saturday, the inside line, the short way around, was the fast lane for most of the race both days.
This is a bunch of guys right here all wanting to settle in. Get down on the bottom, single file. Tony's leading them around here. Let's get some laps under our belt, get the cars settled out a little bit, and then we'll go 4 wide when it comes time.
Ryan Newman has settled into 4th on the inside. Just ahead of Eric Almirola now, and Greg Biffle, Jeff Gordon on the outside lane.
See how fast we're going down this back straightaway. Should be pretty quick. Yeah. How about that, folks? 2:00:02.
It's not even going to go below 190 miles per hour in the corner. Why? Because you're never off the throttle.
Back to the tri-oval for the 4th time. Tony Stewart continues to pull this train around Talladega. The lead draft more than 30 cars strong. Kenseth sits in 2nd, Ambrose in 3rd, Newman in 4th in the 39. Nobody making a move. Biffle in 5th. But Eric Almirola, who started up near the front, has been shuffled back in the number 43. He's on the right of your screen, the car with the white nose. There he is right behind Ryan Newman. Looks to the middle. Newman comes up. And quickly Biffle fills the spot on the inside. Then Edwards, then Waltrip, then everybody else.
Well, and you know, normally at Daytona and Talladega, we have what we call the sucker hole. And that's the guy in the middle. You get caught in that middle without much help, you're going to go way back before you can get down in line and start all over again.
Now that time Ryan Newman went way up high through the tri-oval, and he's going to lose 6th place and be up there in the slide lane toward the back.
But that's what this is all about today. Starting all over again. You're going to get to the front, shuffle down, go to the back. Work your way back.
Now he's right in front of Jeff Gordon, the 24, Steve, as they make their way to the back of the pack.
He's okay, Mike. He just said, I'm trying to keep the nose clean and clear. I can see the temps going up if you're in line here. Just try to keep the nose clean.
Bobby Labonte shoots the middle under Jeff Gordon. Labonte in the 47. Robert Richardson in the 23, the red car, making his first Cup start of the year. And that is Ryan Newman. He and Jamie McMurray wearing the same paint scheme today, but McMurray's number 1 on the roof is orange. Newman's roof number is white, so the spotters can tell them apart a mile away.
Yeah, Ryan Newman started in the 14th position. He had moved to the top 5 before lap 2. Now he's back in the 28th spot.
Denny Hamlin. Push comes to shove right here down the backstretch with the 21 of Trevor Bayne. And they are picking up speed.
This traffic right now, it's about like 7 o'clock traffic on your way to work. Yeah, I'll give this guy a break. I'll get in that line. I'll get in that. You just wait a little while till it gets close to 8 o'clock traffic.
Well, now, when that pair was hooked up, Larry, they're 5 miles an hour quicker than the cars in the bottom lane.
It's a lot like 2 train engines hooked together. The aero drag doesn't go up, but you almost double the horsepower when you hook together.
Payne, without a partner, now drifts to the back on the outside.
I think there's some guys that are formulating a strategy right now, Mike. I think our pole setter might be one of them, and I see a few other guys that look like they've got that. I think I'll hang around at the back for a while.
But I think the report on Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, the big story has been cooling here with the rules you have. You do not want to overheat that engine, because once you overheat it, you may never recover from it.
Back to Steve Burns.
Mike, he just asked his spotter, Jeff Gordon that is, asked Eddie DeHunt, where's the 48 and the 88? His response was mid-pack. Gordon said, I don't want to be back here right now, but I'm going to have to ride for a minute.
Yeah, he wants to know where they are, because I'm thinking they were saying, we'll go with you.
Boy, Harvick's got a head of steam coming out of turn number 2 on the outside without a lot of help, Matt.
And Mike, a lot of clean, fresh air in front. He's trying to cool that engine down. He said it was 230 when he had a good cushion in front, so there is some concern without a car directly in front and it running so hot in the 29 camp.
Well, one good thing about this place, you can actually put water in your car here and not lose a lap. It takes so long to make a lap around here under caution. Should you get rid of a lot of water and need to do that, I think these teams are prepared to do it.
9 laps complete. Tony Stewart has led them all. The last time we were here, Stewart led the most laps and finished in the top 10.
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
The Aaron's $4.99 on Fox is sponsored by Aaron's. Credit is hard. Aaron's is easy.
13 laps of 188 completed Talladega. Tony Stewart has led them all. As another past Cup champion, Bill Elliott, has his car pushed to the garage, joining Joe Nemechek, Josh Wise, McDowell, and Raines out of the race.
We got 2 golfing buddies that's hooked up on the top side there. Michael Waltrip in the 55, Denny Hamlin in the 11. They just keep chipping away little by little on that outside line.
And it was working really, really well, Larry, but I believe the 11 got hot. I believe he had to get off of Michael. The thing, they run that way about 3 laps. That's about all you can go right now.
Michael Waltrip addressed his crew during pre-race before they rolled off the grid.
What a great crowd, y'all. Sure does feel good to be a part of it. Thank you for everything. I love my TV job, and to get to do this is quite a privilege. And I want to say thank you to you guys. It's a pretty amazing sight, all these people.
Yeah, what I see, Larry, is they were hooked up tight, and they were coming to the front on that outside, but I believe the 11's got to get off of Mike and get some air in the radiator. I think he got a little too hot.
But you can almost bet they learned something there for the end of this race, possibly.
Oh, listen, they'll be 3 wide before the day's over with. They're just all they're getting their water hot right now.
The first 6 cars, single file up front, have not changed. 4th and 5th, Roush Fenway Ford teammates, point leader Greg Biffle and last year's title runner-up Carl Edwards, continue to run together nose to tail.
Got a technical question about the engine, Bob. Is it better to run at 3/4 throttle for the mixture, or is it better to keep it wide open and use the brake to slow down? You're going to have to manage that, Bud, because it can't smoke the brakes, you know what I'm saying? But ideally wide open and using the brakes would be better for the engine itself.
Got a problem down
Regan
the back
Smith.
back there. Regan Smith.
A lot of smoke from under the hood of Regan Smith's Chevrolet. The last year's Darlington winner brings out the first caution of the day, working lap 16.
I just am really, really concerned that the managing the water temps of these cars, we could see some failures.
Running in a tight pack there and up in smoke.
Yeah, that thing just exploded.
Now that's going to make the Childress group a little nervous because this is one of the engines out of the Earnhardt Childress Racing engine shop. They've got a lot of engines in this race, but you can almost bet probably from overheating.
That's my first guess, Larry, and it's been a concern I've had. These guys are absolutely right on the edge of not having enough coolant to be able to keep an engine together all day.
Now Smith has told his crew on the radio that the water temp never got into the danger zone, so we're not exactly sure what's happened, but Regan Smith will get hauled back to the garage area. So first pit stop of the day, what will they do, Matt?
Mike, the strategy down here in Tony Stewart's 14 pit is simple. The Goodyear tire wear is so good, they're not going to take any tires and just fuel only on this first stop. Dick?
Kansas has said nothing on the radio about the vibration that they were concerned about. He's just been hanging out in 3rd spot. Steve.
Well, Dick, Greg Biffle says that his car is quick, but it's just a little bit free, so they're going to adjust that. Krista Voda.
Steve, Martin Truex says his car is better than it was in practice, but he's complaining about it being wobbly, especially with cars at his door on the bottom. They're talking about making a 2-tire change on this stop.
Thanks, Krista. All 37 cars running were on the lead lap, so there will be no lucky dog on this first caution.
Where they have to be careful, I think most of these drivers are going to go with fuel only. It's going to get very congested on pit road.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, go, 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 go. One lane, one lane, one lane, one lane. Behind the 14. Behind the 14. Where's the clear? We want some clear there, Mike. Yeah, copy.
Jeff Gordon, David Rudiman having a little trouble getting into their pit deep in the running order, a consequence of running back in the pack. Nice stop as usual for the Killer Bees of Matt Kenseth's crew.
They definitely went with fuel only. Pit selection may have helped win that battle.
9 drivers chose not to pit. We'll update those when we come back.
Hello.
Let's take a look inside what's happening in the Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Rookie Josh Wise ran the fastest lap of the race, and then after one more lap, went to the garage. Tony Stewart has led the most laps, 16 of the 18 so far. Get unlimited access to the Sprint Cup Series with live in-car audio and real-time stats through the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app on your Android-powered device. Only on the Sprint Network. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Couple of issues on pit stops. A.J. Allmendinger too fast on pit road. Serves a penalty, and Clint Boyer had a little bit of trouble. Let's replay.
Change right side tires on Clint's car.
Fresh water bottle.
Actually doing 4 tires on Clint Boyer's 15 car.
Stalled.
He did stall, and he has to reset that system before the electronic fuel injection system before it re-crank.
His right hand went over to the master kill switch. You turn off everything, kill all the power, turn it back on. You see him, he's doing it again right with his right hand. Turn it back on. That resets the system. Just sort of some of the procedure that you have to go to when you stall the engine.
All part of learning about the new electronic engine management systems in use in NASCAR this year, including electronic fuel injection. A.J. Allmendinger gigged for speeding along with David Gilliland on the first caution flag. Now, we mentioned 9 drivers stayed out when the rest of the lead lap cars pitted. They have now all come to pit road, and during that cycle, Travis Kvapil, Paul Menard each led a lap, along with Matt Kenseth, who's the front runner right now after pit stops.
It's perfect time for a caution because we've run 20 coming to 20 laps. Kind of got a chance to talk about temps, talk about strategy, and talk about if you need to make some adjustments, and we got a car slow here on pit road.
That'll be the 33 of Tony Raines, which had been in the garage and now comes back out. Last spring, when we had 88 lead changes, there were 7 lead changes in the first 15 laps. This year, none. Well, just one. Tony Stewart went to the front and led the first 15 as Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle bring them across to the green flag.
Roush guys are lined up on the outside here. 1, 2, 3. This is kind of what we were thinking. But also was kind of thinking that they left Carl hanging.
I was going to say, Matt Kenseth in the 17, Greg Biffle in the 16, dropped to the bottom, left their teammate Carl Edwards in the 99 up top.
Now it's Kenseth who may have too big of a lead as the duo of Stewart and Ambrose come toward the front, but no, Stewart drops in behind Kenseth.
Man, you go with the best. You go with your best option. You know, this is no time for loyalty. You got to go with who can take you to the front and keep you there.
What does the 9 stuck in the middle, Marcus Ambrose, take away from that?
Bye-bye. Don't get in the middle.
Denny Hamlin now picks up Ambrose. Hamlin, the black car.
Carl's just saying, somebody, anybody, help me.
But just look at these guys, 4 wide coming back across the start-finish line.
Talladega, baby, Talladega. This is also, after that little break right there, kind of talk things over. Things can get a little dicey because you've gotten comfortable now take a deep breath, and you're ready to do some serious racing.
We're seeing Jimmy Johnson in that 48 Lowe's car wanting to play a little bit here, maybe build some data for later on in the race. He's getting a push here. You see it from Marcus Ambrose in that 9 car.
Now that's something Johnson, as he said in the pre-race, did not do any of in practice, was run in tandem or run in the big packs. They made a lot of single car runs.
Let me tell you, coming through the tri-oval at 200 miles an hour is the most difficult place on this racetrack. You can lose control of your car quicker there than anywhere else on the racetrack.
Now Marcus Ambrose in the 9 gets stuck. He's stuck up here at the top by himself. No help from any other driver.
Tried the middle, that didn't work. Let me try wet. Well, that don't work.
And back you go with no help.
And he's just waiting to hear his spotter. I mean, look at the miles per hour difference. 10 miles per hour.
You're
he was
clear
slower up there by
clear all the
himself.
way to the bottom.
Like I said, it's all about starting over here. You get to the front, make a mistake, go to the back. How long will it take me? A lot of guys do it on purpose. Cannot get back to the front.
Remember that Jeff Gordon strategy of getting out to the back? Didn't last very long, did it? It's right there lined up on Jimmy Johnson's bumper, about 4 cars back on the outside lane, which is led by the 55 of Waltrip and the 11 of Hamlin.
But you see the 3 teammates, 48, 24, and 88. They messed around down here last year and got behind. I don't think that's going to happen today. I think that's the other thing, Mike, after that little break right there, you kind of get a feel for what the race is going to be like. Is it going to be wild and crazy, or is it going to be something that I can deal with?
Right in the midst of that storm sits Dale Earnhardt Jr. Matt?
Having fun, and that was the agenda when the race started, Mike. He told the team this is going to be one fun day, and so far on the outside running 11th. He said the car was really loose on that first run. They made an adjustment on that stop. Krista?
Matt, as you know, at this track, you hear a spotter's voice more than you even hear the driver's voice. He is talking constantly. Hard to do when you have laryngitis. Kasey Kahne's spotter, Kevin Hamlin, is struggling. He's losing his voice. He started spotting for Kasey a few races ago. Kasey loves him, but right now, Kevin's voice is struggling.
New leader Michael Waltrip. Waltrip and Hamlin worked together to overhaul Matt Kenseth's 17 as that outside lane began to work and powered Waltrip to the front.
And just think, it's just a part-time job for Michael. Right now, he's looking to see where his water temp is. That's the big concern. What was it when I was being in the pack? What is it when I get out front in clean air?
You know, he might have a part-time gig. This is his 52nd start here at Talladega.
This is cup of tea, baby. Daytona and Talladega. Looks pretty comfortable, Larry. Car's smooth, not fighting the wheel.
Looking back from Michael at Denny Hamlin in second.
And I think also he's looking out the back out his right side. He sees Jimmy Johnson in that 48. His teammate Jeff Gordon, they just keep chipping away a lot like Michael Waltrip and Denny Hamlin did.
I think they can push each other for, it looks to me like a couple laps, really tight. Then they got to get a little separation, kind of like we see between the 11 and the 55 or the 48 and the 24. You got to get some air in that radiator, and you got to manage that every lap.
This year, NASCAR lowered the rear spoiler, less downforce, less drag, but they also narrowed up the radiator opening, limited the size of the radiator, and put a pressure relief valve in the cooling system so drivers couldn't push each other all day.
I think the other thing that we don't talk much about, but you see the back bumper of Jeff Gordon's car, how close to the ground it is. That's actually been extended down to keep air from coming out from under the car and cooling the car behind it. So a lot of aero gimmicks trying to separate these cars.
I just think one reason Jeff Gordon is so gun shy, you talked about those rules. Remember, he overheated and lost an engine in the Daytona 500 just because of that.
I know why he's gun shy. Remember, he was upside down at Daytona, and I think that's the first time that ever happened to him.
3 wide middle of the pack. That's Rudiman up top. Landon Castle 83 in the middle. Eric Almirola on the bottom 43. Labonte goes up high, maybe to pick up Rudiman here. We'll see. As Ambrose stuck in the middle, and the number 9 trying to work his way back to the front, but it's a long way back. Quick to fall, slow to climb in these big long drafts at Talladega. "28 laps complete this time by Michael Waltrip has led the last 4. "32 laps complete as they flash across the stripe. Michael Waltrip leading from Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, and Jimmie Johnson. Waltrip has now led in 21 of his last 23 races at Talladega. Bill Elliott returned to the track. He's the black car on the bottom as Waltrip and Hamlin flash by. And Denny Hamlin leaves room at the bottom. Here comes the 17 of Kenseth to the inside as Hamlin works his way down the racetrack. I got a little close there.
Yes, it did. You could deem that maybe a pass below the line, but I think it was forced down, and that makes it okay. Here we go. We got them 4 wide off turn 2 right there.
And that was the effect of Hamlin's loss of momentum as everybody scrambled to get back in line. Denny Hamlin fell from 2nd to 14th.
When you go around somebody like that on the bottom, it changes your where you want to run, and you saw what happened. It really affected everybody.
But you've been watching the speed of these drivers. That was 4 wide at well over 195 miles per hour.
I think Trevor Bayne was very nice to Jeff Gordon in that situation.
Should be.
Maybe he owed him a favor.
David Rudiman in the 10, pushing our Daytona 500 winner from last year, Trevor Bayne, in the 21.
And we listened in on Jeff Gordon.
He's serious. We're just going to go back to the back. 10-4. That's good. Keep your composure there.
Yeah, he wasn't pleased with Denny Hamlin getting out of line, and the loss of momentum got them both toward the back.
Boy, you're not going to hear that very often, though, about Jeff Gordon. Keep your composure, because he's usually pretty calm and pretty cool. I just think that shows you the intensity of this kind of racing.
Here comes Jimmie Johnson on the outside of Greg Biffle, scrambling for 4th place. He's got Dale Jr. behind him.
And Larry, one thing I noticed about this package, nobody's getting away. The front guys are up there, but everybody back in the pack is able to keep up. Nobody's really falling that far behind.
Daryl, I find it interesting with Jimmie Johnson in that 48 car. Y'all talked to him in the pre-race show. We also talked at the top of the show about they got behind in the fall here and just didn't have enough time to get back there. I think he used that first run to figure out what he had in his race car.
Yeah, I know Dale Jr. was very upset that they stayed at the back all day long, and he felt like too long, and he said, we're never going to do that again. And you see him right here working, trying to get the lead.
21 cars in the lead pack as those inside lane cars look coupled together.
Yeah, but something almost looked like it. I guess it didn't, but almost looked like that inside line slowed for a second there off of turn 2. But look at Kenseth. It's like, I don't know, something going on there. Doesn't look exactly right.
Daryl, Matt Kenseth in that 17 has been back there for a while. That 17 car may be starting to overheat just a little bit on it.
Well, we know for a fact the Fords have got a really, really good cooling system. Probably the best of all the cars in the field. He can stay there longer than anybody, I think. What do they say, Dick? Is his temps going up?
Well, they're not even talking about the temps on Matt Kenseth's car right now, but what they are talking about is it needs a little bit of a chassis adjustment, and whereas often Kenseth will describe the behavior of the car and leave it to his crew chief, Jimmy Fennig, to set the adjustment, this time Kenseth told him what he wants. And remember, Matt Kenseth, one of the drivers that did not take tires on that last stop, fuel only, so getting a lot of laps on those tires now.
But at the speed we're running, and with that little bit of, you see that spoiler over on the 16 car, that thing is a lot smaller than what we're accustomed to running here. Handling, unlike what we said here in the past, I believe handling is a big, big factor.
37 laps complete. Waltrip out front. Tony Stewart got a little bump there from Greg Biffle as they came across the line.
Yeah, they were waltzing together when they came by here.
3 wide behind them from 12th on back. Bain and Burton. And Hamlin on the outside in the 11. Michael Waltrip leading is our Toyota top performer in the running order at 37 laps. Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin in the top dozen. Landon Castle 15th.
And just think, Denny Hamlin was right there with Michael, got shuffled out and went all the way back to 11th.
Jimmy Johnson in that outside lane have now fallen well back, even with 7th place.
I really think, Mike, that's probably a product of cooling. The guy just can't stay on you over 3 or 4 laps, doesn't look to me like, and you got to get a little separation, get some air to the radiator.
Kyle Busch up against Brad Keselowski. Dodge and Toyota working together. And another rule change this year is that drivers no longer can dial up another driver on their in-car radio. Teams have to relay messages across the spotter stand or down along pit road. No more driver-to-driver communication.
I really think handling is becoming a bit of an issue for some of these cars. The pace is slowed just a little bit. Cars are moving around a little bit more. I don't know. I think handling is going to be a bigger factor than we thought here in the past.
And oh, by the way, I think the sun's coming out. That's going to heat things up.
Well, it's coming out tomorrow.
Michael Waltrip in front of Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart.
The Aaron's 499 on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds.
43 laps complete as you ride along with Kevin Harvick, and note the thermometer up there at headrest level, 108.9 degrees. Think of what the floorboards are putting out.
A lot of the drivers are already complaining about heat in the cockpit, but remember, we saw Clint Boyer. I mean, we're 20 laps in the race. We got Ryan Newman off the pace here, going down the back, looks like. No, he's coming down pit road.
Yeah, he's going to make it to pit road. Ryan, our Martinsville winner, comes in here 10th in the points. You can see Steve Burns. We're seeing water being spit out at the base of the windshield. Seems like he's overheating.
That's exactly what's happening, Larry Mack. In fact, the crew already heading to the garage area, and that's where they will meet Ryan Newman.
So Newman may be the first or second victim of engine overheating in this race, which is only 44 of 188 laps old. Let's get downstairs for more on this topic. Jeff Hammond.
Well, Mike, we keep talking about how hot it is out here today, and with the sun coming out, these cars are going to run hotter yet. And we saw at Daytona that Matt Kenseth and his team came down pit road, put water in their car, and went on and was able to wind up winning that race. Well, this is what they'll do in the 56 crew as far as if they have a problem here on Martin Truex Jr., come down pit road, they'll take this apparatus, lift up a little bit of a flap door, put it in, put some pressure in the tank, and cool that engine down, and hopefully be able to go on and have a good finish or maybe go to victory lane, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Jimmy Johnson not cooling down. He's on a hot streak, riding the outside with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kurt Busch, and Denny Hamlin trying to wrest the lead from Michael Waltrip's 55.
Yeah, I've just been watching that inside line, and a couple of times it looks like they've slowed a little bit, and that outside line's picking up some momentum, and Johnson is there.
Yeah, you got to give Jimmy Johnson credit, that 48. They have not given up on this outside line. They've been at it for about 10 or 15 laps, and they're going to get the lead down the back straightaway.
Oh, yeah, he got a little help from a teammate. It's all about your friends, buddy.
Last time Michael Waltrip led more than 15 laps here, he won September 2003.
Well, he shouldn't be having any heating issues because he's had all the clean air for the last several laps.
Here comes 5-time Jimmy Johnson will lead lap 46.
And Darrell, I would have to believe that they're going to drop to the bottom once they've cleared that group.
Oh yeah, right to the bottom. Let somebody else make that outside work. It worked for us.
Biffle, Ambrose, Rudiman, 3 abreast. And the Dodge is moving in, Allmendinger and Keselowski in the 2.
Back to that cockpit temperature real quick. You got to keep the driver hydrated. It's all Clint Boyer get him a fresh bottle of water after 20 laps. Got to keep the driver hydrated. It's like sitting in a hot sauna. Marcus, he just gets hung in that, he gets hung up in that middle. It just ain't going to work for you, son.
Yeah, the 9-car Marcus Ambrose, it seems like he's always at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, he's trying to sniff a draft off the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Back there at about 12th place.
I think Jeff Gordon's got his radar on. I think he's just watching things. I don't think he wants to get up there and get in anything right now. He's just kind of watching.
If we get this outside line organized again, go it up there and see what we just did.
It almost sounds like he wants to try what Jimmie Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr., his teammate, just were able to accomplish, is kind of get organized there on the outside, see if we can go to the front.
18 cars trying to break away in this lead draft. 48 laps complete in the Aaron's 499 at Talladega, as we've seen a lot of this. 3 wide.
Film yourself announcing your favorite driver, and your video could introduce them at the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race, aired live on Speed. Plus, win a custom autographed All-Star helmet.
Introducing in the number 5 car from Enumclaw, Washington, Kasey Kahne.
Want a chance to introduce a driver at the All-Star Race May 19th in Charlotte? Go to sprint.com/speed to find out how. Matt Kenseth, the Daytona 500 winner, has come to the lead, and Jeff Gordon with Marcus Ambrose have fought their way back to the front.
Yeah, Marcus finally got out of that sucker hole, found him a buddy, and they've gone to the front.
Kenseth comes up topside to pick up Gordon.
Matt Kenseth, our Daytona 500 winner, has 24 starts here. He said he always dreads coming here, but for the first time, he looked forward to it. I think we're somewhat seeing why. Strong piece with Matt Kenseth.
You know, when he started looking forward to it, when the checkered flag fell at Daytona, he said, I think we got something here, boys.
Kenseth has led 8 of the 52 laps so far. Drop back to 6th place. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Matt.
4th in line on the inside, and Jr. making it look easy, but his comments from the cockpit, like so many others, said the car absolutely on the loose side. He said, as a matter of fact, it's rather annoying. Look for Jr. and a host of others to pit around lap 60 or 61.
Side by side with David Ragan, and right behind Earnhardt, that I Want to Go Fast paint job you may have seen before. The 2006 movie Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell. When Ferrell lost his ride and his sponsor, he says, I can only believe in me. Well, the James Finch team needs a sponsor, and so does Kurt Busch. So with the Cougar on the hood, there's a stuffed Cougar in the car. They're raising awareness for the Armed Forces Foundation and looking for a sponsor. But how about that?
You ever tried to race with a Cougar in the car, Larry?
Don't think I want to.
Dick Berggren.
And Kurt Busch has driven that car from 33rd all the way up to 3rd place at one point, Mike. Bear in mind that this team is a very small team, and they lost 2 of their best cars in wrecks at Daytona. This is the 3rd car in line. Wasn't fast in time trial trim, but they promised it to be fast in the race, and it is.
One thing I keep noticing, guys, is that as the lap times continue to slow a little bit every lap, and I really think, you know, these guys are going to start thinking 4 tires instead of 2, because I think handling, as this track gets rubbered back in, that's going to become a big factor.
Watching Dave Blaney from Kevin Harvick. Biffle on the bottom. Kyle Busch in the middle as they come across 3 wide. That's back in 10th place. Now, spotters play a key role here. They're located atop the tri-oval grandstand and some on the backstretch. And one driver, Kasey Kahne, having some spotter issues. Krista?
Mike, as I reported earlier in the race, Kevin Hamlin, the spotter Kasey has been using for the last few weeks, has laryngitis. As the race went on, his voice increasingly got worse. At one point, he came on the radio and Kasey said, "What did you say?" So they have changed spotters. Kasey is now using Joe Nemechek's spotter, Clayton Spruill.
Well, Kasey has had 3 spotters this year, and this really all started when he had his issue at Bristol about a month and a half ago.
And Larry, again, you know how I know things are slowing down a little bit? That whole group that was way back is caught up with the back of the pack here. These guys are really getting bottled up all of a sudden.
And that's going to make it interesting because, as Matt Yoakum reported, we're anywhere from 3 to 5 before green flag pit stops. We've got 25 drivers running within 2 seconds of each other.
Meanwhile, in the garage, Ryan Newman's crew looking at the data on the laptop to try to figure out what happened to put him in the garage. 57 down, Matt Kenseth, your leader.
I've been watching pretty close. I don't see water coming out of anybody's car at this point. I don't see anybody, the pressure relief valves, I don't see them popping those yet.
But Darrell, these drivers, they really have to work with each other, and we're starting to see, I think, the first driver to come to pit road under a green flag pit stop, Denny Hamlin in the 11 here at lap 57. You really have to communicate with each other with hand signals during these green flag stops.
Hamlin's only been on track for a little less than 40 laps in this run, Krista.
On the last stop, Mike, they made a 2-tire change. Denny had been complaining about the steering issue, said the same sort of issue we've been having at these races, but he said his race car has been pretty good. He has gotten hung out a couple of times. He is one of the guys trying to work that high line.
One of the things you run into on a track like this, and particularly in an impound race, toe. How much toe you have in the front tires, that gives you some stability in the steering wheel. You try to run as little as you possibly can.
A couple more takers on pit road as we work through lap 58. Kyle Busch leads a group of them onto pit road, and quite a backup there. Green flag pit stops. 7 cars are in, Matt.
And Kyle Busch, the first car to pit, and Mike, although he was running in the bottom lane, he felt like his car was much better in the high lane. If he had a pusher, he could run the bottom. Remember, they took fuel only on that first stop, Steve.
Well, Matt, early in this race, Brad Keselowski said his car was handling very well, but just now he said this car is really struggling. It's free on entry and way too tight in the middle. And as the boys suggested, 4 tires for Brad Keselowski.
Joey Logano also pitted along with Allmendinger, Castle, Quapple. I think that's Richardson. And another gaggle, locking them up. Coming on to pit road, McMurray and Montoya, teammates, lead a group in that includes Boyer, Truex, and Moore.
Yeah, pretty much having to stay there for 2 cans of fuel, 19.5 gallons, and locking those tires up. I think all these drivers, Steve, probably will get 24. Looks like a little different strategy, though.
Jeff Gordon on pit road is going to take left side tires only, Larry, with fuel, but left sides only for Jeff Gordon.
Well, Jeff Gordon got right side tires on that first pit stop he made.
He leads McMurray and Kane off pit road, along with Gilliland, Boyer, Mears, and others. And here come the leaders, Dick Berggren.
And Matt Kenseth took no fresh tires on his first pit stop. He's in right now. Matt.
And the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in his car, extremely loose. They're going to make an adjustment, as well as Tony Stewart. He said make a big-time swing, Steve.
Matt expecting the 48 of Jimmy Johnson to get right side tires only. Crew Chief Chad Knaus imploring him to come into the pits easy. Dick.
Well, Carl Edwards also on pit road right now. He had started in the 10th position, got shuffled out early in the race. Very annoyed about that, and he's been working his way forward ever since.
Only one driver has not stopped, and that's Jeff Burton for Richard Childress Racing on the left of your screen. Now you see Burton coming in after he gains 1 bonus point for leading a lap.
Larry, just seemed to me like the smart move there would have been take 4 tires. I've seen a number of these guys have to wait for the fuel to finish up in the car. They could have easily put on 4 tires.
Yeah, absolutely, especially taking a chance, as we saw many of the drivers do, sliding them coming in.
Looks like we're going to cycle around to Jimmy Johnson as the new leader. As now we've completed this first round of green flag pit stops today. 60 laps into the Aaron's 499. Getting from 200 miles an hour down to 55 takes a good bit of lockup here. 64 laps complete, just past 1/3 distance. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads a 4-car breakaway. And here's what's fresh off the wire.
I'm smoking. I'm blowing up, guys.
All right, baby, get off the track there.
Work it around the apron there. You sure, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's oil smoke and it's not running. I'm wide open.
4.
And that's why fresh off the wire, served to you by KFC. Come in and taste why fresh is better. Stevie was leading the race. What let go?
Well, Mike, you see the car being pushed back into the garage area. He came down pit road, lots of white smoke. The hood went up, and Chad Canals told Jimmie Johnson, he says, it looks like we broke a belt. Jimmie said, I feel like the oil pump seized up. So they're going back to the garage. Chad's last comment was, we're going to see if we can change that belt. That's the issue on the 48.
Yeah, I was looking at the in-car shot. I didn't see any gauges flashing, which is an indication of a heating issue. I didn't see that, so it may possibly be something mechanical. But remember, Ryan Newman has a Hendrick engine as well.
And Newman in the garage also, as Johnson is pushed back there to see if they can get him restarted. Keep in mind, it's nearly 90 degrees and extremely muggy today in Alabama.
But you think about Jimmie Johnson, crashes on lap 2 in the Daytona 500, finishes 42nd. He clicked off after that 8 consecutive top 12 finishes, had worked his way to 6th in the points.
And he'll have to rebound from this.
Yoo-hoo.
Well, that 4-car breakaway is no more. They chased down Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has Kurt Busch as a drafting partner. Kenseth and Gordon have now gone to the outside with Kyle Busch and Landon Castle. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Tony Stewart and Greg Biffle line up behind the front duo there.
Now remember, it wasn't too long ago, a few years ago, we called the 88 car, Dale Jr., the Pied Piper. Let's see if they want to play games or not.
That's the two drivers that battled it out 12 years ago for the 2000 NASCAR Rookie of the Year. Matt Kenseth ended up winning that year as far as Rookie of the Year.
Well, just think, Dale Jr. and he were right there at the finish of the Daytona 500, these same two cars. So just working on each other again.
That'll be Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, Landon Castle.
Everybody looking for drafting help and clean air all at the same time.
That time by Dale Jr. ran a 48.47 and Kenseth a 48.58. The third place car of Gordon was a 49.02, almost 5/10 slower.
And Jimmie Johnson is climbing out to debrief with Ryan Newman. Now, Denny Hamlin was up with the leaders, but now finds himself back in 32nd place. Very deep in the running order, still on the lead lap, but 17 seconds out of the lead.
He was the first driver to hit pit road at lap 57, but of all the drivers that did 4 tires, he had the slowest stop of any other driver. You can see the problem right here on the left side. They couldn't get the left front on, and now he's finally found David Reutimann to hook up with. Certainly Denny Hamlin needs a caution. 20 seconds, that pit stop, 5 to 6 seconds slower than most of the other drivers.
See, the way this shock package is on the front of these cars, it will not let the tire drop down. The shock actually holds the thing up under the car like that. It makes it very difficult to get it out.
4 extra seconds here. Well, that's a quarter of a mile out on the racetrack.
Well, and he had to run a bunch of laps by himself, which is much slower than running in a pack, till he finally found David Reutimann, but they're still going to be substantially slower than this pack.
70 laps complete this time by. It'll be 118 to go. NASCAR's fan favorite, Dale Earnhardt Jr. out front.
You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Live at Talladega, time for an AT&T race break, just short of the 200-mile mark in this 500-mile race of the Super Speedway. And for the 4th time this year, Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading in a race, came in 2nd in points, looking for his first win of the season. But another lead change here as Matt Kenseth, winner of the Daytona 500 in the 17 Ford, moments ago getting out in front of Junior. You'll notice where Jeff Gordon is as well. and Junior slipping all the way back to 15th. In fact, so far in the first 100 miles of this race, we've had 6 different leaders and 6 different race teams going from front to back. Overall now, 10 lead changes and 8 different leaders. Dale Earnhardt Jr. all the way back to 19th, but that's how quickly you can go from the front to the back. Meanwhile, a teammate at Hendrick Motorsports, Jimmy Johnson, behind the wall, and our Jeff Hammond is with him.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And Jimmy, you said the car was running really well. What happened?
We have a problem, lost oil pressure there. Don't really know why just yet. Unfortunately, the 39's sitting in here with a similar issue. So I'm hoping that our teammates, the other Hendrick engines out there, don't have the same issue with this oil pump, but or oil pressure situation. We don't know exactly what it is yet, but they're working on it. The car still spins over, so hopefully we can get things, find out what went wrong, get back out on the track, and try to collect some points. But this is a bummer. I mean, we had such a great race car up there leading the race, and had something happen there.
Thanks, and sorry for your trouble here, Chris. It looks like they've got to dig out of another hole here at the Super Speedway.
Yeah, but it can happen here. Thank you, Jeff and Jimmy. That's why Clint Boyer, who's won 2 of the last 3 Talladega races, had that pit stall problem earlier, hanging around 28th, 29th. Not a lot of panic, because time that he can move up, just like Tony Stewart, who led the first 16 laps of this race, had to go back. So he's aware that he can lead and handle the front. Maybe wants to test, as he told us on the pre-race show, the first 50 to 75 laps, see how he figures in the race. Seems like Tony has that figured out. Let's check our drivers. The AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. You can text FAST to 34763 to play, or visit AT&TFasterDriver.com for a chance to win 4G. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, Rethink Possible. And back upstairs, and Darrell and Larry, Matt Kenseth, good at Daytona restrictor plate races, as you pointed out, never won here at Daytona, but in a groove today.
Yeah, you know, Chris, he was so anxious to get to Talladega with this car. Won Daytona, and they got a great package for these speedways right now. The Ford guys do, and certainly Kenseth.
78 complete with Matt Kenseth out front. Challenge from Michael Waltrip on the outside. Here's our Ford F-150 EcoBoost track facts for Talladega. 18 wins for Ford at the world's fastest speedway. Ford has led the point standings after 8 of the 9 races in 2012, and Jamie Mack was the last driver to win here in a Ford. Well, Jimmy Johnson had only 1 engine DNF in the last 141 races going into today. So a rare problem for him, as Kenseth continues to haul Kurt Busch around the speedway with Kasey Kahne and Tony Stewart.
These restrictor plate engines are finicky little engines. They run the oil pressure as low as they think they possibly can. It cuts down on the turbulence inside the engine, and drag and friction on these restrictor plate engines is a huge thing engine builders concentrate on.
You know, I've been watching Michael Waltrip in that 55 car. He lost his friend, Denny Hamlin, in the 11 through that bad pit stop, but he's found a new friend, A.J. Allmendinger, who had a penalty on the first caution for speeding on pit road. A.J.'s worked his way back up there.
There's the dinger, and I continue to be impressed with the run of Kurt Busch and the fun that he and James Finch and company have had with this Talladega Nights Ricky Bobby scheme. It even carries over to their in-car radio discussions.
Slingshot engaged. We copy down here, Ricky.
The pack is gaining on you guys pretty good there, Ricky. They're about a second a lap faster.
Yeah, 10-4. I don't want to bump into him and spill his macchiato.
Does he have all those movie lines on his dashboard or what?
No, but you know what? For Kurt, they should script his radio conversations every week. I think it'd really pay off for him.
I'll let you suggest that. Matt Kenseth, after 80 laps, is the leader in the Aaron's 499 on Fox. With help from his former teammate, Michael Waltrip gets back up in position to lead the Aaron's 499. Waltrip in the 55, scooted away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now he's got Tony Stewart right there knocking on the back door.
Tell you what, it's been a long time since somebody got up there and challenged that 17 car. He has just been able to hold everybody at bay.
Right now, he's got them 3 wide by about 4 rows deep behind him out there leading this thing.
Stewart settles in second, and Steve, an issue with Jeff Gordon.
Mike, he just said, I have a water pressure flashing. I've got to get out of this.
Yeah, he has a warning light on his water pressure gauge, all the gauges for that matter. And, of course, we know Jeff Gordon has been concerned about this since the drop of the green flag.
Larry, these guys are just, I mean, they are so close to burning these engines up. They got it. It's just got to manage it.
But how do you get out of here? You're in the middle. Where do you go?
Just watch. He'll show you. Look, no, did I just see smoke out of Jeff's car, or is that water?
Jeff Gordon perhaps with a problem, down to Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, with the help of the Ford Racing Tech car. Let me show you what's going on here, folks. With the Super Speedway program right now that we're running here at Talladega, one of the main things is you've got to worry about keeping the car cooler. This used to be what we normally run everywhere else when it comes to any other racetrack with the exception of Talladega. Today we're running this. What does this mean? The drivers are going to have to be real conscientious of keeping an eye on their gauges. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Normal temperature for water, normal temperature for water pressure. Now all of a sudden we're running hot. We lose pressure, we're going to be in trouble. We'll have to do what Matt Kenseth did down in Daytona, put water in the race car.
And don't forget, this car blew up in Daytona back in February.
That little grill opening above the word Impala, that's just a decal. The actual radiator opening is in the bumper face, again, to prevent continued bump drafting.
Yeah, all of these rule changes, NASCAR listened to the majority of our fans that did not like that two-driver tandem that we had in 2011.
I just don't think they gave these guys enough room to operate, though. It's right on the edge, and if you have anything go wrong, it's just no insurance.
Kasey Kahne, Michael Waltrip, Dale Jr. working on the high side, up at 3 and 4.
And Larry, I think that's one reason we haven't seen a lot of aggressive bump drafting. You don't want to close that opening up. You can't afford to.
Darrell and I were talking about Kasey Kahne in that 5. He has looked so strong. He's up there wanting to lead.
Yeah, I've been watching his lap times, Larry. He's been one of the fastest cars. He's been back in the pack a little bit, but he's been really fast.
Kahne has shown speed since joining Hendrick Motorsports at the start of the season, but does not have the finishes to show for it.
Getting a little wide back here. It wasn't long ago that 42 car right there with Allmendinger behind him. He was at the back of the pack, not even close to the front.
88 laps complete this time by Kahne. Kenseth, battle for the lead. The inside lane has a little bit more push. And at the line, no, Kahne on the outside.
It was a tie.
But that's the first laps that Kasey Kahne has led in that Farmers Insurance Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports in 2012.
I still watch that 17 car, and he's got the muscle, man. They get up there, they get all around him, but he can just pull back. He's got smoke behind him, and Tony Stewart, not smoke, and pushing him right back to the lead.
Matt Kenseth led 50 laps at Daytona. He's been out front for 30 laps today. And in the first half of this race, Kansas Ford has shown it's the car to beat.
I believe so.
A couple of other drivers I'm seeing up there in the mix is the Earnhardt Ganassi drivers of Montoya and the 42, McMurray in the 1. They're starting to make a little bit of noise.
And they rode at the back, Larry, for a long time, and they just started to make their moves here recently.
On the outside, Kahne and Earnhardt, 5 and 88, are teammates.
I love what Tony Stewart said. This is a chess match, and I only know how to play checkers.
Kasey Kahne at the front, Jeff Gordon at the back of that 28-car draft after 90 laps in the Aaron's 499.
Glad you're with us from Talladega. It's the AT&T mid-race report, and Kasey Kahne has moved into the lead, leading for the first time this year in any race. Matt Kenseth has led the most laps so far. but overheating. Temperature in the 80s after early rain. Haven't hit 90 yet, but already engine problems. Overheating for Ryan Newman, who came in 10th in points, and Jimmy Johnson, who won this race last year, who came in 6th in points. Let's check in with Darrell, who you're keeping an eye on.
Yeah, you know, I didn't just get on this guy, folks. I've taken Kasey Kahne. I really like what he's doing today, and he's been getting stronger and stronger every week. I like Kasey Kahne. Steve Burns.
Well, DW, Jeff Gordon continues to be concerned about water temperature and water pressure. He has dropped to the back. His crew chief, Alan Gustafson, said, get some air. Go ahead and get some air to the front of that race car. They will pit on lap 101, Larry Mack.
Yeah, Steve, contrary to what we've seen here in the past, I think if you want to win this race, you better get to the front and do everything you can to stay up there. Matt.
Larry Mack, and that's part of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s strategy for that 6th Talladega win. Keep his car as close to the front as possible. The other part, try to stay in the high side. He, too, like the other Hendrick engine cars, concerned because of their corporate teammates having issues as well. Mike?
In restrictor plate races, Kurt Busch is 0 for 45. Kasey Kahne is 0 for 33. But Chris, they've each finished second 3 times.
And Mike, restrictor plate king, the nickname closer for Kevin Harvick. He hasn't led. He hangs around 17th, 18th. When will he make his move? Is he just kind of gauging? Maybe he's aware that at the halfway point of the last 5 races, that driver has not won the race. We'll see when he makes his move. That's our AT&T mid-race report. Let's rejoin the guys upstairs, Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Juan Pablo Montoya has come to the lead on the low side, with Matt Kenseth in tow and Tony Stewart. He and Kasey Kahne have come across the line side by side the last few laps here, and now a 3rd lane beginning to work, led by Jamie McMurray.
But I just tail in Charlie back here. Jeff Gordon, he's keeping up with the back of the pack. Remember, he was having that heating issue. I think he's dropped back, get some cool air in that car. We have not heard the last of Jeff Gordon.
And right now, we are about 4 to 8 laps, what will be another set of green flag pit stops. We saw how far Denny Hamlin got behind on that last one. You can't have mistakes this time.
And remember, Larry, I mean, Jeff Gordon took left side tires. A little bit different strategy, so we'll see what they do this time in.
28 cars in that lead draft as we come around to complete lap 97. Be 91 to go, just past halfway. Pit stops in the offing, and the Dodge Chargers in the race. Allmendinger and Keselowski both right smack in the top 10.
The thing about this race and this kind of racing, there are guys like Allmendinger and Keselowski we may not talk a lot about, because all of a sudden they just show up and you say, like we do Kevin Harvick, where'd those guys come from?
But Darrell, you talked about it earlier in the show. It just seems like now these drivers like Kasey Kahne in the 5, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, fighting for this lead. They're starting to make that second groove work.
Yeah, it'll get there.
And how about Dave Blaney for Tommy Baldwin, a car that with the rain delay nearly won the Daytona 500. Blaney has been in the top 10 for all of this run. He's right in the middle of that mess in 8th place.
Remember, Dave Blaney finished 3rd in the fall race here last year at Talladega.
Remember who was leading the race at Daytona when they stopped the race, and all the kids are pulling for him.
Blaney
top 10, kids eat free.
In front of Kurt Busch in the 36. Right between Keselowski and Biffle.
But looking at Montoya in that 42, I think he's doing exactly what we talked about. He's been notorious for running at the back till about 15 or 20 laps to go. Here he's up here leading as we're starting to get into some green flag pit stops.
And Larry, look what we're averaging for our race pace right now. 181 miles an hour average speed so far.
Both the Penske Dodges on pit road, Allmendinger and Keselowski. Krista.
A.J. Allmendinger starting second in this race, had to go to the back for a pit road penalty. He's worked his way back up towards the front. A.J. Allmendinger saying his strategy here, a lot of prayer. Steve?
4 tires for Brad Keselowski, Krista. They also gave him a windshield tear off, and they're going to make a slight chassis adjustment because handling is an issue for Brad Keselowski.
Now you can get off pit road without losing a lap, but you will lose a lap on a green flag pit stop as you try to come up to speed and the pack comes by. More takers on pit road. Casey Kane, Dale Jr., Kurt Busch, and more. Dick?
Oh, here's the 51. That's Kurt Busch pitting right now. That crew also pitted for him yesterday in the preliminary event. Matt.
And they just pulled the tear off Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet. 4 tires on this stop. Krista?
Matt, Casey Kane loves the momentum of running up front, leading laps, something he hasn't done all season. A 4-tire change for Casey Kane.
That's Robert Richardson Jr. Slow down on the apron on turn number 2. And Tony Stewart has gone down to the apron well before the pit road entrance.
I think he might be out of fuel.
He's either out of fuel, but also remember, that's another Hendrick engine in that 14 car of Tony Stewart's.
Here come the leaders to pit road, Dick.
Matt Kenseth is in, and this is one of the best pit crews in all of big league stock car racing. So Kenseth driving brilliantly today, a minor adjustment to the race car, 4-tire pit stop this time. It won't take him long in the pits. Matt.
And Jeff Gooch Patterson already has the first can of fuel in. They are going to make an adjustment. And still no word on the car. The motor was running when he hit pit road.
So, Matt, it appeared that he just got down to the apron and out of traffic to make his entrance to pit road.
I saw him shaking the car around a little bit as if he was low on fuel and possibly running out of fuel.
Okay, Steve, what'd they do for Jeff Gordon?
Right side tires only for Jeff Gordon. Right sides and gas.
Remember last time Jeff Gordon changed just left side tires on his 24 car.
Kevin Harvick picks up the lead from Paul Menard. Michael Waltrip is in. Dick?
And Michael Waltrip's big problem is not the car, it's his feet. His feet have gotten hot inside the race car, Matt.
Right, trying to keep up with the racetrack as it's getting hotter and hotter, the track getting slicker. They made a slight adjustment on the 18, Steve.
4 tires for Greg Biffle, Matt. He too gets a clean windshield. No other adjustment to that race car, tires and fuel.
That leaves just Kevin Harvick and Paul Menard out on the racetrack. Their car owner, Richard Childress, inducted into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame here Thursday night, along with drag racers Kenny Bernstein and John Force.
About 10 away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Matt.
Extremely concerned that last segment, Mike, with the oil and water temperatures on the 29 car. In fact, Childress told him they're more concerned about the oil. That's where they feel like the biggest issue has been today with the other Chevrolets. No changes for Harvick.
Remember last week when we were at Richmond, Carl Edwards called into Bob Osborne and said, what about my oil temp? It's a little higher than the water, a little higher than normal. Again, we were in really low oil pressure here. You get a lot of oil, get your oil temp way up, that will blow these engines up.
Paul Menard will surrender the lead and be the final lead lap car to make this green flag pit stop. Larry, any disadvantage to waiting this long?
Well, normally there would be, but I think one reason they left Paul Menard and Kevin Harvick out there, Dick Berggren, I think they can now make it on one stop.
Well, if we don't have any caution flags, and that's an unlikely event here at Talladega, Menard's best finish all year long has been at Daytona in the 500, the track that most closely resembles this one.
And Mike, to your point, looks like Kevin Harvick in that 29 car, he's going to get up to speed as he's trying to be overtaken by Greg Biffle in the 16. So worked out pretty good. He's not going to keep the lead, but he should blend in somewhere with this pack.
Greg Biffle, the Sprint Cup point standing leader, up on the outside and to the lead as they come past Paul Menard. Whoa. Menard did not lose the position on pit road, but he will lose it now. He's not eligible to blend up into traffic till he gets up to speed in the back straightaway.
Boy, the 88 and the 5 almost had an issue. The 5 really shot up the hill. You can see he lost a lot of ground, but he's got a great pusher coming up behind him. Watch this going into turn 1. Just a little dicey. Touch, and that was almost.
Wow.
That was an almost. And you know what I feel? I feel a little tension starting to build amongst all these guys. They're getting hot. They're getting a little tired. Things are going to pick up.
Earlier, Dale Earnhardt Jr. upset teammate Jeff Gordon with a move that put Gordon back in the pack. He came back and returned the favor. Greg Biffle is your leader. Let's take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Matt Kenseth has led the most laps today, the biggest mover, thanks to a 12.5-second pit stop. Jeff Burton, who is now up to third. Check out the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app on your Android-powered device, only on the Sprint network, the only national carrier with truly unlimited data. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. 79 laps to go. Biffle the leader in a Ford. Keselowski's Dodge second. Then Burton's Chevrolet in third. The 31, Marcus Ambrose, battles with him in a Ford. And Matt Kenseth's Ford. Those are your top five. Denny Hamlin running up with that pack went a lap down during the pit stop sequence. So Hamlin, his number 11, second in line, but not on the lead lap.
Mike, you mentioned Jeff Burton in that 31 getting a push by Matt Kenseth in the 17, and he's up there wanting the lead. They had an awesome pit stop, 12.5 seconds, changing 4 tires. Remember, Jeff finished second to his teammate Clint Boyer here last fall.
And those two drivers, Darrell, are former teammates together. That's got to count for something when you have somebody you trust.
It really does. And again, I'm just seeing Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle, these two Fords, they seem to be able to set the pace. They seem to be just a little bit quicker than everybody else.
How about a Talladega Cinco de Mayo Supermoon Sunday? 200-mile-an-hour, crank it up.
Behind you, kind of within 83.
That is 17 cars under a blanket with 75 laps to go. Greg Biffle in front of Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, Marcus Ambrose, Juan Pablo Montoya. You can go to ChevyOutdoors.com and enter for a chance to win a Chevy Silverado plus a day of bass fishing with Sprint Cup champ Tony Stewart at his home. Stewart running in 18th place right now, Matt.
Mike, about 5 laps ago, he was near the back of this big pack trying to get the water and oil temperatures to come down. They were in the danger zone. They have the problem, Stewart said, when he worked his way back to mid-pack. The water pressure is still in the danger zone. A lot of concern in the 14 camp concerning that.
That seems to be the biggest concern, not necessarily the water temperature. It's a pressurized system, is the pressure itself.
Biffle, Keselowski, Ambrose, and Boyer leading the train around Talladega. 70 laps to go. The first 7 cars nose to tail, and then a good bit of 2 wide and some 3 wide racing in the mid-pack and on back. Greg Biffle leading for Brad Keselowski, Marcus Ambrose, Eric Almirola, and the Busch brothers. Let's get downstairs to Jeff Hammond, who's standing by at the University of Farmers.
And right now, guys, what we're going to be talking about has to do with protecting your car and protecting your engine. So far, from down in the garage area, 2 of these cars have gone out of the race because of mechanical problems, possibly oil pump. The other one may be running part throttle. Around this racetrack, we talked earlier about Carl Edwards asking Bob Osborne, should I run it wide open or part throttle? He said, run it wide open and drag the brake. Protect that engine. Keep it cool and keep it lubricated if you want to finish this race, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. New leader. Been waiting all day to say this. It's Ricky Bobby.
I'm going fast.
Mama.
Look at me, Mama.
Yeah, they must have told him the Cougar was in the car.
How many times have we seen that movie?
At least 15.
Leader, Ricky Bobby.
You know, if you don't have a sponsor on the car, you might as well have some fun. I love it.
You know what? If they do well with it today, they might just want to leave that on there.
But Darrell and Mike, we felt like, and we know there's a long way to go, if there's a place that Kurt Busch could win driving for Phoenix Racing and James Finch, it would possibly be a restrictor plate track. Remember, that race team won here with Brad Keselowski back in 2009.
A lot of strategizing going on right now, guys. I mean, everybody's starting to think about where do I want to be. I know Jeff Gordon is sitting way back there, kind of keeping his jets cool. I think some other guys are doing the same thing.
Yeah, both those Hendrick cars, Gordon and Casey Kane, drifted to the back of the pack, running 19th and 21st now.
Well, we know we have at least one more pit stop for these drivers. I think for some of them, it's going to take 2 to get to the end.
Little tense moment for Michael Waltrip. That's Landon Castle up against him.
That's a great save. I know it looks very subtle on TV, but when the cars get loose down here, they usually are hard. They usually don't straighten up.
A nice touch on the side of Michael's 55, remembering another great 55, the NFL's Junior Seau, memorialized on the rear quarter panel of Michael Waltrip's car. Well, Ricky Bobby loses the lead to Matt Kenseth, and Greg Biffle, and those 2 potent Fords are now at the head of the pack.
I mean, all you got to do is just think back to Daytona and how well Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth ran at the end of that race, and here they are, same 2 guys, looking good.
Another driver who's dropped to the back, another Hendrick car, Matt. Dale Earnhardt Jr. back to 23rd.
Mike joining his Hendrick teammates back there, concerning the Hendrick camp about the motor issues that you saw in the 39 and the 48 earlier in the race. In fact, this was recent conversation going into possible prevent defense mode in the 88 camp. Instructions from Steve Letarte to Dale Jr.
I just wonder what happened to Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson broke an oil pump, so did the 39. Basically, if you feel power steering go, that's because it's chucked the belt off. I need you to shut it off as soon as you can. I don't expect to have the trouble. I'm just letting you know.
Here comes Earnhardt looking to the outside of Dave Blaney.
And why he told him that is because those belts are all down there together. And usually think if the oil pump or if the power steering pump goes, that usually means it's knocked off by one of the other belts.
What about his teammate Jeff Gordon, Steve?
Well, they still have issues, Mike. Jeff Gordon just said my gauges continue to act weird. On the front stretch, they flash red. On the back stretch into the headwind, it stopped flashing. I'm not sure what to tell you. Alan Gustafson, the crew chief, responded. He said, Jeff, because the car is taking in so much air, the relationship between the water temperature gauge and the pressure gauge is off. Just watch the right side of your cowl, and when you see water coming out, it's too hot.
And too late, I might add.
Thanks, Steve. Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle in Ford's lead with 65 laps to go.
Back at Talladega Super Speedway, 61 laps to go, and Matt Kenseth is your leader in front of Greg Biffle and Kurt Busch. Time for the Husqvarna Fast Tracker, and Greg Biffle came in as your points leader, currently running second. Matt Kenseth has led the most laps today, working on his 35th, followed by Michael Waltrip. Kevin Harvick has yet to lead in this race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually led for 10 laps. We've had 13 leaders, 22 lead changes, only 1 caution. But cooler heads and cooler engines will prevail as we take you to the finish here at Talladega. We're glad you're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Hello.
56 laps to go in the Aaron's 499. Matt Kenseth is the first of 27 lead lap cars and one of 13 different leaders. He's led the most laps, 41. 22 lead changes today and just 1 caution flag for 4 laps. Dick Berggren on the leader.
As strong as Matt Kenseth is running, they were concerned before the start of this race about a vibration. Matt said a few laps back, the shake is back. He's not calling it a vibration right now, Mike. He's calling it a shake.
This is too obvious. It's shake and bake. Here comes Ricky Bobby on the outside.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, he's trying to shake and bake back to the lead with help from Denny Hamlin. And at 11, Denny Hamlin is a lap down because of issues on a green flag pit stop. Nobody would love to see a caution more so than Denny Hamlin.
I think it vibrates less when he's in the lead, to tell you the truth. But a lot of the drivers, I think, are right now managing their temps. And I don't mean the driver himself, their car temps. I think a number of drivers have said every time I try to make a run, I have to abort because of my temperatures. That will all change when we get near the end of this thing.
Clint Bowyer third on the outside with Trevor Bayne and Montoya and Blaney. You look at those first 17 cars, there's nobody in that group who can't win this race. Kurt Busch has never won a plate race. Daytona or Talladega, points paying restrictor plate race in NASCAR, and he and the Cougar have gone to the front.
There you go. He's out front pulling away. But you know what? We've had a lot of races, fuel mileage races come to mind. I don't know if I've seen a race where you got to manage your temperatures in order to hang around at the finish.
But speaking of fuel mileage, Darrell, we're about 8 to 10 laps away from green flag pit stops, and I think drivers that try to stretch it here, that'll let us know if they can go to the end. Denny Hamlin in 11, he's trying to get his lap back the hard way by passing the leader.
I tell you what, he better be careful of. He don't want to get up there and get shuffled to the back and get back there with other cars that are a lap down.
Yeah, the next car 1 lap down is Bobby Labonte's 47. Then Rudiman in the 10.
Boy, Matt Kenseth in the 17 with help from his teammate Greg Biffle. They just shot to the outside, drive right by Kurt Busch.
Yeah, what?
Darrell, they made it look easy.
And I think for those two guys, it is pretty easy right now because they seem to have the speed, man.
We'll bank that one for later in the race because Kenseth has been able to pull out in front almost at will.
You know, I don't get the sense that there's a lot of harmony amongst the 17 to 16 and the 99. They don't seem to necessarily really hang together like I've seen some of the other teams do.
Well, not right this moment because there's Kenseth and there's Biffle. 8 places apart. They get along well. In fact, they jet pool to some of the races and hop rides in each other's planes.
Mind being a fly on the wall in that plane ride.
48 laps to go at Talladega. Matt Kenseth still your leader from Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, and Marcus Ambrose. And here's what's fresh off the wire. During that break, Jeff Burton's number 31 loses fuel pressure and almost gets inhaled by his teammate Paul Menard and Joey Logano. Everybody's able to scatter, and Burton was able to make it to pit road and make his pit stop and get back out there. And that's why Fresh Off the Wire, served to you by KFC. Come in and taste why fresh is better.
Yeah, he lost fuel pressure. Well, we got Harv up here trying to, he's got a problem. I don't think he can get to pit road.
Too much traffic, Darrell. He could not make the left turn to pit road. We've only had 1 caution today. Harvick's going to have to either make it around or exit to the infield. That sounded bad.
Yeah, he was running when he came by. He should not be out of fuel.
We run out of gas a lot.
That's a heartbreaker.
Boy,
evidently, they didn't get Kevin Harvick's car full of fuel the last stop because he was one of the last drivers to pit.
Think about his teammate, 31, just ran out of fuel, or at least he lost fuel pressure, which would tell me he had low fuel. Now here's Harvick with a problem.
And Trevor Bayne slowed a lap ago and was able to limp onto pit road to make his stop. Keselowski and Allmendinger, the two Dodges, lead the parade onto pit road, as with the last set of green flag stops. And this time, Paul Menard, mindful of his teammates' problems, comes with him.
I think the 51, I think 51 might be out of fuel. He's going to the bottom. He's out of fuel.
But I think we talked about it a while ago. This would be the run that drivers may try to stretch the fuel to make it on one more stop.
Who's that up by the wall coming out of turn 2 with the same problem? Labonte?
They're running.
And Kenseth.
You know, they're running at such a fast pace. I mean, we're running 184 miles an hour.
Big crash, turn 3.
Behind you.
Tommy Baldwin gets piled up.
Yellow.
With the 42 of Montoya.
I think the 24's in there too.
Landon Castle, Martin Truex, Carl Edwards are all involved as one car slowed in the top lane. Terry Labonte and everybody else piled in. Caution. Matt Kenseth onto pit road. Now, pit road is closed. They will take a look and see if he was on pit road prior to the caution.
Yeah, as long as he got by there before that caution came out, he'll be just fine. Talking about Matt Kenseth, a lot of damage to Dave Blaney's 36 and a host of others.
Several cars were running out of gas. Somebody up into turn number 3 stacked them up. Watch the two white cars on the inside line as they come to turn 3. Whoa.
Looked like Blaney might have hooked.
Was that Castle?
Castle, I think it was, and that started that. Oh, and then Jeff Gordon gets pounded by Martin Truex Jr. He hit that wall hard, Jeff Gordon did.
Now he drove away. Jeff Gordon is okay. Here's another look. Almirola way down inside, and it was not Castle, but Almirola and Blaney who trigger this.
It almost looks like there was something wrong with Almirola's car, either out of fuel or something.
We were seeing a lot of drivers that appeared had something going on that last lap before this.
Boy, watch Jeff right here. He gets turned up the hill.
Nowhere for Montoya and the 42 to go.
Right inside. Carl.
Not sure if Almirola was trying to come back up onto the racing surface or if perhaps he got hooked by Blaney there to start that. Truex came down and collected Jeff Gordon.
Bam! That's a hardly.
It was a hard hit into the safer barrier outside turn 3.
Thank the Lord for safer barriers.
And Jeff Gordon has driven it straight to the garage for major repair.
And can Jeff Gordon catch a break?
It just falls right in line with everything that's happened to him all year long.
The whole front sheet metal of Landon Castle's car that got peeled away. Dick?
Well, Michael Waltrip just made a pit stop for 4 tires, Mike. And when you think about the run that Michael Waltrip is having today, realize this is his first race of the year. Matt.
And the 18 of Kyle Busch, service already complete for him. He took on 4 tires on the previous stop. He was starting to run out of fuel as he was making his way to pit road. They cut it close, Steve.
4 tires for Greg Biffle, no other adjustments to the 16.
Now keep in mind, a lot of drivers had already made green flag stops before the caution came out. Martin Truex overheating and with body damage. Let's watch this unfold from Kasey Kahne's number 5. We're under caution with 44 to go in Talladega.
There you go. Nice move, boss.
Caution is out at Talladega. A lot of cars under repair and drivers beginning to walk out of the care center. The first of those, one Pablo Montoya. You must go to the care center if you do not drive your car back to the garage after a crash. And let's show you again what happened between the 43 of Eric Almirola down on the apron and the 36 of Dave Blaney right behind him. There's the first contact.
You know, here at Talladega, when 2 drivers get together, it's like pulling a pin out of a grenade. The 2 cars that started it get involved and a bunch of them around them.
When Carl Edwards got jacked up there high up in turn 3.
You can see Almirola in the 43 was trying. He must have been out of fuel and trying to get out of the way. Dave Blaney in the 36 tried to clear him, clipped him a little bit, and shot him into Landon Castle.
What I'm unsure of, Darrell, is whether Blaney bumped Almirola or whether Almirola was trying to get up to get some fuel to the pickup from the banking.
Yeah, I couldn't tell that part.
And Jeff Gordon went all the way to the bottom in the 24, clearing it, but Truex in the 56 was coming down the banking and just drove him straight up the racetrack.
Now we listen to Dave Blaney's in-car audio.
43, run out of gas. I tried to miss him. I got it. How bad is it? What we got? It's bad.
All right, to Dick Berggren in the garage.
Well, Jeff Gordon, you've just watched the replay on 2 separate occasions there. What do you make of this situation?
I don't know. I didn't really get to see what started that, why that car was way down low and those two got together that got up in front of the field. I didn't know if they were coming off pit road or if they were, just racing. I'm not sure, but man, this is just one of the most bizarre years that this DuPont Chevrolet team and Drive to Hunger Chevrolet team has ever gone through. And I mean, it's almost comical at this point. I mean, that was not fun, and I didn't like hitting the wall, but gosh, I mean, I thought I was clear. I was just kind of cruising by on the inside, and it looked to me like somebody came down and got Martin, and then that turned him into me. And that's just the way our season's been going. Awesome race car. This temp thing is kind of a joke. They're going to have to fix that. We all knew that was going to be a big issue, but when you can't really even race because the temps in just a regular pack are an issue, then we got to address that. So Talladega is different, Daytona temps are different, and we got to recognize that. Nobody's really pushing a whole lot out there, even though we know it's going to happen at the end. I'm kind of looking forward to being on the couch watching this race because I'm telling you, those last 5 laps. Nobody's going to be sitting down, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're going to look forward to that as well. Mike?
Thank you, Dick. Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson both out of the race. Now, Denny Hamlin was the first car 1 lap down. He'll be your Aaron's lucky dog. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. Paul Menard will be posted as the leader, as there will be penalties under this caution. Now, here's Menard coming off pit road as the caution waves. He had already made his pit stop. Everyone else on the lead lap has pitted behind him. And there will be penalties for cars that pitted too soon under this caution before pit road was officially opened. We'll update you on those when we come back.
.40 laps to go, just over 100 miles here in Talladega under our second caution. Time for an AT&T race break, brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, Rethink Possible. As Paul Menard loops the track, Matt Kenseth, your leader. A quick recap. Tony Stewart leading the very first lap, pushed by Matt Kenseth. Pole sitter Jeff Gordon. Tony led the first 16 laps of this race. Ryan Newman, with a broken oil pump, had a problem. Came in here 10th in points. Jimmie Johnson, who worked his way into the lead, took the lead from Michael Waltrip, who led 21 laps. And then Jimmie Johnson had some problems with the belts and oil pressure as well. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the fans on their feet here in Alabama, cheering as he got into the lead and led 10 laps, but moving back and forth. And then moments ago, this is what created the second caution. We're counting at least 9 cars involved in this, triggered by a Dave Blaney, Eric Almirola, and then Landon Cassill miscue. Jeff Gordon and Carl Edwards caught up in this 9-car crash that put us in the position we are in at the moment. To see how your driver is doing in the AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge, text 34763 or visit AT&TFastestDriver.com for a chance to win. We're getting ready to go green. Let's head back upstairs to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
All right, thank you. A few cars come in to top off, trying to make the distance. Joey Logano with a bit of damage, and let's go back toward the care center. Dick Berggren.
With Martin Truex, whose dream season has come to a crashing halt momentarily, what happened with you?
Not real sure. I mean, we were just kind of out there taking our time, trying to get to the end, taking care of our temps. Our car was, Napa Toyota was really fast, so just waiting till the end to use it. Just unfortunately, we didn't make it there, but not sure what happened up ahead. I about made it through there, and I was kind of spinning down the track a little bit, and I think it's a 24 come along and hit us, and that's what really killed the car. But before that, we were going to be okay, but just one of those deals. I'm not sure what happened up ahead. A lot of smoke and just a guy stopping in front of me, and I just tried to turn to get below him, and kind of got in the side of the 20, got sideways, and then I got hit.
Mike. Thanks, Dick. Landon Castle also released from the care center. Now, some drivers pitted too early and are penalized as a result. They included Matt Kenseth and Marcus Ambrose. Look at the light at the bottom of the screen. Caution is out, and that light indicates pit road is closed. The flag waving as well, and both those drivers, Ambrose and Kenseth, were headed for pit road, and instead of staying on the racetrack, made their stops. Now, in addition to them, Kurt Busch and Bobby Labonte were out of gas and pitted too soon. So the cars under penalty have to line up at the very back. First it's lead lap cars double file, then cars a lap or more down, the free pass car Hamlin, anybody who took the wave around, and the penalty cars start out back as we go back to green with 38 laps to go. 3 cars took the wave around: Jeff Burton, Tony Stewart, and Trevor Bayne. They'll get back on the lead lap. Paul Menard, Brad Keselowski fight for the lead.
Yeah, nice little drag race here off turn 2. See who gets the push. Always love that. That's what the spotter would say. You're in the right line. They're getting a push, and that's what you want to hear.
It just appears we're just going to see a lot of movement now as we've got 38 laps to go. Keselowski in that 2. He wants the lead, being pushed by Bowyer in the 15.
Oh, a lot of smoke as Allmendinger's going up in smoke.
No,
what was that?
That was just stay dry, Mike, from the
thank
accident.
goodness.
And by the way, I heard from the pits, Larry, that those guys weren't out of fuel. The fuel is vaporizing. It's almost like the engines are vapor locking, and they're having to come to pit road early.
Yeah, this is the hottest temperatures we've had to deal with.
Allmendinger drops to second, no problem there, just ran through that speedy dry. Let's get down and hear from Carl Edwards. Dick.
As he stands beside his wrecked car, Carl, what happened to you?
First, I'm glad you're keeping a split screen so I can watch this thing. This is insane. I don't know what happened, but I'll tell you, none of the nuts and bolts came apart on the car. Everything held together, so I got to thank Fastenal for that. People were just running out of fuel, but this is a crazy race. Right now, what you're watching, these guys running 3 wide, bumper to bumper. It's I think the best package we've had here. That wreck was not because of the package, it's because people miscalculated their fuel. So I'll go back in and watch the rest of the broadcast, but thanks to Ford, and I hope Matt or Greg wins in a Ford Fusion.
Okay, thank you.
Keselowski and Allmendinger lead them across. Remember, Denny Hamlin got the free pass. Here he comes.
Boy, and we know he had a fast car because he was able to stay up there with the leaders when they lapped him, and he hung with them until the caution came out. He's got a bad, fast car.
I think another driver's got a bad, fast car, Kevin Harvick in that 29. He's a lap down, trying to get up there, get a caution. He can maybe get back on the lead lap.
Krista, how about Denny Hamlin?
Well, Mike, something else they did, they took advantage of that long caution to fix an onboard fan. Denny had complained that it wasn't working back after the second pit stop of the race. He's put up with it. They said, hey, if it's going to help you need it, do it now. So they fixed that fan during that long caution.
Well, getting the free pass, they really had nothing to lose because they were going to start near the rear of the field.
Yeah, it's like the guys that got penalized for pitting early. Big deal. They came back in, topped up with fuel, they're good to go, and Matt Kenseth, I assure you, will be back at the front before too long.
The question mark may be Keselowski. He pitted at lap 142, which even with the caution laps, Larry, he's got to run, what, 46 laps?
Well, and we know the Dodge drivers, including his teammate Allmendinger, the 22, pushed him. Steve, I don't think they can make it without pitting.
Well, Larry, the information from the 2 car is that they are okay to make it to the end plus 1 lap.
The last time we said, I don't think he can make it. He won Kansas.
Yes, that's right. Good point.
Obviously, they're banking on all of those caution laps certainly helping them. You don't use near the fuel.
But who has had the most fuel problems of anybody in the sport this year? The 2 car and the 22 car.
Paul Wolf, Brad Keselowski's crew chief, looking on the right.
Pretty calm, cool character right there, and sharp as a tack. Boy, look at those cars wobble around. Every time I see one of them do that, it makes my heart skip a beat.
Bobby Labonte in the high lane goes 2 laps down. So the only cars 1 lap down to the leaders are Harvick, Gilliland, and Kvapil. That'll be the fight for the next free pass should we get another caution. 34 laps to go. The Dodges of Keselowski and Allmendinger are in front at Talladega. That is noted artist Sam Bass, does a lot of program covers and paint schemes. Aaron's contacted Sam to try to make a unique trophy for this race, incorporating his original artwork to make it one of a kind. And they'll make an image of the driver, winning driver, standing atop a custom painting of the winning car. Sam's begun the painting here in Victory Lane. We'll finish it back at his shop and then deliver and insert the painting into the trophy at the winning team's shop. Only question is, can't get too far in that painting process because what color would you use? Who will it be?
Right now, it's black. Denny Hamlin, that 11 car. Remember, the last caution just got the free pass, and here he's taking the lead in this race.
Yeah, it's a couple of Toyotas right there working together. And that's what it's going to take to win this thing. You got to have some help.
Now, the 2 penalty cars, Kenseth has fought his way back, 3 penalty cars, that is, to 6th. Kurt Busch to 9th, and Marcus Ambrose to 12th. So the cars that were under penalty have made their way back into contention.
You know, Larry and I were talking, why would they pit the 17? They saw the pit was closed. I don't think they cared. I think that car is that fast. They're very confident.
And look who is leading the outside line.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth has found a new friend, Casey Mears, in that 13 car. He's up there trying to lead this race.
He's basically a teammate. I mean, you know, manufacturer to manufacturer, they're going to work together.
Right, that's a Roush Fenway customer car. Another of the Fords. Steve, how about that blue deuce?
Brad Keselowski just told his team, tell AJ I'll be more aggressive when it counts, more aggressive when I need to.
Those 2 Dodges, the 2 and the 22, trying to do something that nobody has done at Talladega in 36 years in a Dodge. Win, Dave Marcus, 1976, the last Dodge victory here.
Yeah, the last time he was aggressive when he needed to, he actually won the race.
I tell you who just got pretty aggressive going into 1. Matt Kenseth gave Casey Mears a shove in that 13 car. He led him through 1 and 2 that time.
And Keselowski gave Boyer the boot on the low groove as well.
And there's Ricky Bobby. He's right in there pushing Kenseth along as well. It's tightening up, boys.
Watch how much Casey Mears, how much speed he's going to pick up by that push right there from Matt Kenseth.
The 17 has got good suck up, and he's giving him this shove.
And had that been the last lap, Mears would have won it with the push from Kenseth.
It's always amazing. I love it here. We're at 162 laps, and it's picking up. I mean, you can just feel the intensity picking up.
26 laps to go. Don't touch that dial. Casey Mears leads at Talladega.
Whoa! Dad, where'd you get that?
Oh, you won't believe what just happened.
Don't tell me you got the last Diet Dew.
Yeah.
I love the taste of Diet Dew. What do you want for it? Deal.
Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah, it tastes that good.
Hey, Hotshot. Meter's running.
Man, we're door to door. I have the better car, fresher tires. I drove it in deep, and you missed it. I know you wanted to watch it, but you got throttled by your data plan, and it slowed you down. You hit your data limit streaming all that techno music, didn't you? I mean, really? Man, you've got some questionable taste in music.
Switch to Sprint, the only network with truly unlimited data.
Today, my journey brings me to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I spend a day with Geico driver Casey Mears. I told him the secret to saving money on car insurance. He told me the secret to his car setup. First, he adjusts his speed. And a quarter cup of pineapple juice. Or was that the secret to his barbecue sauce?
Hey, secret sauce.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
"24 laps to go. Denny Hamlin's Toyota in front of Clint Bowyer's Toyota. Casey Mears in a Ford, Brad Keselowski in a Dodge, Kurt Busch in a Chevrolet. Any one of those four makes could win it.
I think Bowyer just had to bail out right there, Larry. It may be a heating issue, or maybe he just wants to lead the race, but he bailed out behind Denny Hamlin awfully quick.
You think about Clint Bowyer in that 15 car, he has finished first or second in the last 3 races here.
Oh, boy knows a little something about this joint, doesn't he?
I like that paint scheme, too.
Yeah, I know you do. He got that hat on. I'm feeling it.
Last October, he beat his teammate here coming off the final corner. Jeff Burton was leading, and Bowyer drafted past for the win.
How about that 13 car, though, Mears? He's hanging right there, buddy.
Now, most of these drivers came to pit road and topped off when we got 1 to go a while ago. Now, Denny Hamlin goes to the bottom. Nobody pushed him. He might lead it this lap coming back to the stripe.
Kenseth looked like he might have bounced off Casey Mears trying to get to the bottom behind Hamlin. Kurt Busch in the middle.
Whoa, man, there is some shaking and baking going on in front of those guys. Whoopee, and look at Junebug on the outside.
That's 4 wide.
I mean 4 wide at over 195 miles an hour.
And I think that got triggered when Kenseth tried to get to the bottom.
It did.
Suddenly everybody had to scatter and look for a place to race.
Here you go. Look at the speed. 201, 10 mile an hour.
9-10 miles an hour difference. 2 cars pushing, but you can't do that for very long.
And I think Matt Kenseth is right where he wants to be and plans on staying.
Right out front.
But the closer we get to the finish, the least amount they worry about it. We got some damage on Matt Kenseth right front fender. And I think that might have happened a while ago.
Yeah, when he and Casey Mears got together, as Kenseth fought to get to the bottom.
Oh, heck, it helped. It narrowed it up a little bit.
Aerial coverage today brought to you by DirecTV. Only DirecTV gives you dedicated driver channels so you never miss a second of your driver's race. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
You know what I'm seeing, guys? It's like no more Mr. Nice Guy. It's all, you know, putting it all on the line now.
Well, you made your last pit stop, Darrell. 1 driver bobbles. Everybody's got to try and capitalize right that instant or lose the opportunity.
You got it. Position is everything. It's getting more and more intense as we wind down here.
Saw Denny Hamlin's 11 peek the nose high just a little bit to get some clean air and then line up on Keselowski.
Boy, Hamlin is really moving around a lot behind Keselowski. That really upsets that car, Keselowski's car, when you do that.
You know, Talladega is known for producing first-time winners. Our little man, A.J. Allmendinger, there in that 22 car running 4th. He wants to become the 11th first-time winner here at Talladega.
Bowyer on the outside with Kurt Busch trying to gain some ground from 9th. Behind them come Harvick, Kane, and Mears. 19 laps to go.
That's it, Kyle. Let's go home.
All right, guys, let's get out of here.
Available 268 horsepower and intuitive mobile technology. Introducing the reinvented 2012 Camry from Toyota.
With greasy fast food, what are you really getting? Instead, try the tangy new Subway Smokehouse Barbecue Chicken or the classic Sweet Onion Chicken Teriyaki. Both 6 grams of fat or less. Subway, eat fresh.
Agents, I'd like you to meet Casey Kane.
Hey, nice fire suits.
Custom tailored.
Just like the personalized coverage you can get by working with a farmer's agent.
Oh, no. No, no.
Oh, fire suit.
Oh, hey, Case.
Are you done?
We are insurance.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
17 laps to go. Matt Kenseth's Ford, Brad Keselowski's Dodge. Denny Hamlin, A.J. Allmendinger, Clint Bowyer. All in position to win, but so are the 15 cars behind them. Matt Kenseth has clinched the bonus point for leading the most laps. First time he has ever done that in a restrictor plate race. He's been in 50 of them. First time he's led the most laps. That number 17 has been class of the field all day.
It has, but I watched Denny Hamlin, and man, he gets a run every now and then, and he's got a burst of speed in that car. I keep an eye on that 11 car.
Here's today's 5-hour energy big move of the race. After being penalized for pitting too soon when the caution flag came out at lap 143, Kenseth started tail end of the field and worked his way back to the front with an assist from Brad Keselowski.
Just look at that. Mike, the 17 car, he jumped to the outside, tried to pick up Denny Hamlin because I think he knows he's pretty fast. They can't get to his rear bumper. They can get up there to him about where the 11 car is now of Hamlin, but they just can't bust by him.
So Kenseth the leader, Hamlin second. Keselowski, Bowyer third and fourth side by side. Kurt Busch, what a great run for that James Finch team. They know the way to victory lane here. Paul Menard, that bright yellow car on the inside, at sixth. With Busch, Kevin Harvick has fought his way back from being a lap down. He and Biffle, the point leader in the 16. Kyle Busch, Casey Mears. Be hard to pick a winner out of this pack at this point, Matt.
Absolutely, Mike, and that's the deal with Harvick right now. The strategy, he doesn't want to be running this far up because the car continues to get hot, but he has to try to stay ahead of the other lap down car to hold his position so he can get back on the lead lap if we get a caution.
And guys, of our top 20 drivers right now, the ones that I'm a little nervous on their fuel situation, I feel like for sure Trevor Bayne and Tony Stewart will have to make a stop. The other two, Steve Burns talked about Keselowski feeling okay, but also would be Paul Menard in that 27.
And there, again, I just look at the 17. The 15 of Bowyer, he got a little run up the outside. Kenseth went up, kind of blocked him a little bit, fell right back down in front of the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He seems to be able to dictate who's going to do what right now. I think he wants that 11 car behind him because he knows he's fast. And I say that because he doesn't want him out there messing around, maybe getting by him.
Casey Kane in the middle between David Reagan and A.J. Allmendinger, who has dropped back from the lead pack quite a bit. Jeff Burton has been on pit road. He came in to top off so that he could go the distance.
This could split them up right here, and you see right now Denny Hamlin got a nice run up the inside. Can he squeeze through? He's trying to push. He's trying to push Matt up the hill.
Oh, Mears around. Caution waves. And he catches Trevor Bayne on the way down the banking. That is a tough break. Two talented young drivers who both had a chance at a great finish today. Caution at lap 176.
Not sure the 21 got a lot of damage, maybe a little bit to the rear of the car.
Joey Logano,
he already had, yeah, he had damage from an earlier accident.
Is that Casey Mears on the outside?
See what happens here. Ooh, he wobbled a little bit right there as if he had a problem maybe, and Marcus Ambrose in the 9 got into him.
He got into him in that left rear, and we know that'll turn these drivers around.
Trevor Bayne in the 21 is trying to figure out where is he going, and I think he just kissed him when he went by.
And now here comes Logano in the yellow car, and he already had that damage on the right rear fender. There's Mears.
Let's see, he wobbles a little bit right here. I don't know if he got contact. You see the car kind of getting crazy. I can't tell if he had a flat tire or if Marcus Ambrose just was so close. I think he may have had a tire going down.
Yeah, because he was wobbling a ton.
Yeah, well, there you just saw it come off.
Yeah.
I think he had a tire going down, and he started wobbling, and he got a little contact from Marcus Ambrose, and that took him around. And he just barely clipped the 21 car.
One more look at it. No way for Ambrose to avoid it because that lost some momentum, and Ambrose is full throttle.
Yeah, no way did Marcus do anything wrong. You see the tire come off right there. That tire was definitely going down.
Riding with Kasey Kahne.
22, still 3 wide. Checking up, staying down low, down low, down low. There you go. All clear caution.
Boy,
Kasey
lucky
Kahne,
that wasn't a bigger pileup.
When we had the big wreck in turn 3, Kasey Kahne got right through it. It's been his kind of lucky day.
Pit road is open. Now they were coming up to lap Jeff Burton, but he was still on the lead lap, so Kevin Harvick will be the lucky dog. And here comes Hamlin.
These drivers, they're going to make sure. We knew Tony Stewart, the 14, was going to have to pit for fuel. These drivers are just going to make sure they're safe. Matt.
Absolutely, Larry Mack, but they're also going to take on at least right side tires in the 15 and just put him in the safety zone. Krista.
Well, Denny Hamlin knew he would be close on fuel. Darian Grubb said if it's a green-white checker, we have to be safe, so we're coming in for that all-important fuel.
Well, and that's a great point. We know the chances of having 1, 2, maybe 3 green-white checkers, very possible here.
And Denny Hamlin gets fired up as the hood goes up on Tony Stewart's car.
Are they trying to cool it down, or do they have some other issue?
He's been having an issue. I've watched him riding on the apron and on the flat, even when they were out there green flag racing.
Just trying to get clean air to that radiator.
Let's see if we can get let's get an end race report. What do you say here from our buddy? Hey Michael, it's DW. Got a copy, buddy?
10-4, brother.
Hey man, you fell back a little bit. You all right?
Yeah. I didn't know what to do. We couldn't make a run, and I thought there would be some action. So Tony and Dale Jr. were back there, so I just thought I would retreat for a bit. But now I gotta go.
What do you think? You got a shot?
Well, I definitely have a fast Toyota. The Airstream machine is really running good. My buddy is right in front of me. I hope to get the spotters together and see what Denny wants to do. If he wants to wait a couple laps and then go, or just get right after it. So trying to get my spotter, communicate with Denny's guy, and see where we go. We got the lead earlier by working with him, so it's going to be exciting, man. This is cool. And look, I got you riding right here with me.
Love the helmet, man. Yeah, that 11's fast. If you can hang it with him, you'll be all right.
Yeah, that's Darrell.
Well, if I'm going to go down, I want to go down hauling the mail. And he hauls mail. That's kind of what it says on his car.
All right, good luck, buddy. Bring her home.
Casey Mears get attention after this third caution of the day at lap 176.
For those who dare to be great, who search for answers in uncommon places, for those who build dreams 1 RPM at a time, glory is just around the corner. Guts, glory, Ram.
I'll take this. It's Mother's Day, the day to thank me for all the little things, like being the only one who knows how to turn on the dishwasher, not saying I love you in front of all your friends, and always finding everything for everyone. Happy Mother's Day, family. You love me.
You really are the best.
Can't argue with you. Now, join me while I eat cake and receive gifts.
Celebrate Mom. Buy any KFC 10-piece meal or larger and get a free double chocolate chip cake.
As a champion race car driver, I spent a lot of time behind the wheel. I'm Jimmy Johnson, and I like to move fast. That's why I got a Husqvarna Fast Tractor at Lowe's. It's the fastest riding mower in its class. And like all Husqvarna equipment, the Fast Tractor is built to be more powerful, durable, and efficient. So I can get off my lawn sooner and move on with my day.
You cannot rush good barbecue.
At my own speed. Look for the Fast Tractor and other Husqvarna products, available exclusively at Lowe's.
Ten laps to go, getting ready for the restart. Kevin Harvick is the Aaron's lucky dog. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. So he will restart 21st. 21 drivers can win it, led by Matt Kenseth and Brad Keselowski.
I don't believe you can blow one of these things up in 10 laps by getting it hot, but we're getting ready to find out.
I don't believe they care either.
I don't care.
You think pack racing is over? It's all going to be pairs racing from here?
Oh boy, this is going to be get your best hold and hang on.
The track position, he said, well, we were close on we have a green flag checker, so we decided to get 4 tires and top off.
They will take the green flag with 9 to go.
They're in the box.
There it is.
Box, and there they go. It's a drag race right now.
Kenseth, Busch, Biffle versus Keselowski, Menard, and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, both Kenseth and Keselowski got a great push off into turn 1. Kurt Busch in the 51. He's just going to stay with Kenseth, though. Menard, the 27, drops to the bottom.
Keselowski's going to be able to drop right in there. Nice move on his part. Everything worked out good, but don't look back, because here come the hounds.
Up the outside, Kyle Busch and A.J. Allmendinger in the 22. They make the challenge and work their way up side by side for 3rd.
You saw Biffle in the 16 giving Menard in the 27 a shot, but there was nowhere to go. They were boxed in right there.
Well, that 17 has been Bodemeister all day long. I don't know if I'll have another's got anything for him or not.
8 laps to go. 1.5 car lengths the advantage for Kenseth. Darrell, if you're back here, 12th on back, is it too late?
I can't make that prediction. I just don't really, and you just don't know what's going to happen up here. When they get the racing, if they get the racing up front, it makes everybody a player. You see on the outside right there, you see who that is?
Smoke. Tony Stewart, along with Kevin Harvick.
And where did they come from? They're coming to the front, baby.
And Tony Stewart in the 14, one of the drivers that came to pit road that last caution.
Oh, there goes Kurt Busch. Big slide.
Roll out of it, it's all good. Roll out of it.
Misses the wall and then collects it further down.
Yeah.
Oh, what a heartbreaker for Kurt Busch.
So good, so long.
But still on the lead lap.
Yeah, but he made very slight contact, but that's all it takes on that. The right side's pretty torn up, I think.
Rear spoiler looks bent back, Darrell.
He came all the way from the trial, all the way down, and hit down here at the last little bit.
Well, he's coming to pit road the wrong way, which is going to put him a lap down. The spoiler looked fine. The right rear sheet metal on the right rear quarter panel might have got a little damage.
I think this is a move Ricky Bobby would make right here. Going the wrong way down pit road.
May not be a move that makes NASCAR happy, though.
No, Ricky's going to have a little problem on his hands.
Let's see what happened here as Kurt Busch swings it around. There he is in 2nd place, right in front of Keselowski.
Just everybody. Keselowski just caught him on the wrong side of the bumper.
While he was turning in the middle of a trioval.
He was trying to move, yeah, he was making a move, and it just, the trioval is the hardest part of this racetrack. I say it over and over again, but I know it looks simple, but it's the hardest part.
Yeah, you can see there's a lot of damage to that 51 car of Kurt Busch's.
But look at the slide. I mean, he slid from, that's the entrance of pit road. We're about middle of the trioval. Now watch, here he goes. Down, I said, oh, he's got it. He missed it there. And then that last little bit.
Those boys were teammates over at Penske Racing for the last couple of years, Keselowski and Kurt Busch.
One moment you're in position to win. The next moment you're sliding sideways at 190 miles an hour.
But Darrell, I think you talked about it. When you get down to 10 laps to go, you're not worried about how hot it's running, not worried about anything but getting the checkered flag.
No, sir. In these caution flags, it's just ramping it up that much more.
Steve?
Mike, short comment from Brad Keselowski. He said, I wanted him to switch lanes. That's the last thing I wanted to do.
We're under caution with 6 to go for Kurt Busch's spin. And we listened in on Kurt Busch.
Hang on, buddy. Hang on, buddy. Hang on. I think we hit. I don't think we hit. Yeah, we're going to hit.
I don't know. Why is every time Brad's behind me, the car won't stay underneath me?
You know, there's nothing. I mean, this is how close you're racing. And if somebody doesn't move or you don't go in the direction the other guy expects you to, you make a little contact just in the wrong place. But we've been looking at a little part on the number 17 car. It seems rather insignificant, but it's the B post, and it's right here, and that thing is busted. Now, it probably won't cause a problem, but that's what the window net is hooked to. And it might, I don't know if it's pulling that loose. If it should happen to break off down in here, he wouldn't have a window net.
But Darrell, you know that window or debris net, they make it just as tight as possible where it don't flap and disturb the air. I get a feeling this may be a brand new car. We know where the Daytona 500 winning car is.
Yes, it is.
It's in the Daytona Experience.
Yeah, I just was noticing that crack in that B pillar right there. That's a critical part of the car as far as air going by the car. You can see it flapping in the wind right there. That holds the window net. They got that bracket for the window net hooks to that. If that thing should happen to break off or collapse, he'd have a problem.
Yeah, he would have to pit. You're not allowed to race without a window net. Chris Myers?
Mike, a quick recap. We've already hit a high mark for leaders this season at any race, 17, and lead changes 33. And here's Jimmy Johnson, who led for 5 laps, had a broken oil pump, knocked him out of the race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got to the front back on lap 62 and was able to lead for 10 laps in the race, and didn't have the big one, but we did have this 9-car wreck triggered by Dave Blaney getting into Eric Almirola in the 43 car, and pole sitter Jeff Gordon was involved in this as well as Carl Edwards. Moments ago, Casey Mears, who was running in the top 10, had some problems in the 13 car, bringing out a caution. And with 7 to go, Kurt Busch in the 51 running as Ricky Bobby. Talladega Day is done. He was able to lead 4 laps. We also have 14 cars out of the race, Mike. That is the most since Daytona earlier this year.
Getting ready for the restart. Matt Kenseth, the leader. Kurt Busch is able to continue. He's 16th and still on the lead lap. It'll be 4 to go when we get back. And 9 of the last 13, including the last 4 races at Talladega, have been won by a last lap pass.
Well, for the last 2 days, that's been the deal, man. Come off turn 2, running second, you're probably going to win the race. I'm sure Kenseth is well aware of that.
He elects the outside lane and brings the field to speed under green. 4 laps to go.
Danny Hamlin.
Oh, now another problem.
Hamlin got into Allmendinger, who gets away, but behind him, it's calamity.
Outside, stay.
Good grief.
That's what I say. Good grief.
Keselowski and Busch get through behind Kenseth. Menard is wrapped up in it.
Yeah, that was just cars trying to get in position to get down into the corner. I think what threw everybody a curve, Larry, was that 17 restarting on the outside.
Yeah, and then Denny Hamlin, the minute they crossed in the 11, they crossed the restart start-finish line, he immediately tried to change lanes, and it just didn't work.
I want you to watch the yellow car of A.J. Allmendinger. He's the number 22.
I think you're going to see. He's right here. Hamlin is going to. Hamlin right here decides. Oh, AJ moved over and tried to block Hamlin. Hamlin got into Allmendinger, and that started the whole mess.
Yeah, AJ tried to change lanes, and Hamlin was already there. Paul Menard in it, Kevin Harvick, Michael Waltrip.
I think it's a good shot right here, Mike. You see the 11s try to make a hole down the middle right there. Allmendinger said, y'all have no part of that. And that That really is what caused the problem. Look at Dale Jr. work through there, the 21 car. Harvick's torn up. Smoke goes around. Let's see where Mikey is. He was back in there somewhere.
Yep, more damage for Logano. Michael's down on the inside. Let's ride with him.
Rolling.
There's the Aaron Stream machine. Is it going to be a dream or is it going to be a nightmare? Come on. Ooh, contact.
Check up.
Ow, more contact.
Just a chain reaction.
Let's ride with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Now,
It's
just
Jamie
remember,
McMurray alongside and Stewart ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Stewart gets wrecked big time. And Junior is right behind him, and watch this. Woo, what a drive. That was a great move.
You're clear.
And now, 2 views at Kevin Harvick.
Man, right into his teammate.
Here's what A.J. Allmendinger had to say.
I mean, where's he going? No idea, man. What you got, AJ? I mean, I've killed left front, I think.
I think, I mean, it's not a good question. Where are we going?
Well,
it's the show is on. I mean, the race is on.
Let's have a look from the DirecTV blimp. And what happens as they head toward turn number 1. Now, the blimp location is right about where the starters are, looking at the tail ends of these cars. Third in line on the outside is Allmendinger, and the black car is Hamlin coming up on him.
Right here, they start to make, Hamlin starts to go to that hole. It's open in the middle, and AJ sees him coming and tries to block him.
And there's just nowhere. They just get over into Paul Menard in the 27 and it's on from there.
And in Hamlin's defense, if he hits the brake, Ambrose piles into him.
Yeah, there's no brakes at this point. You're wide open. You saw Kevin Harvick going up through the gears. You're wide open. Right here, AJ says, uh-oh, I got to block that move.
Too late.
Not a good idea. Hamlin over into Tony Stewart.
Wow, did you see how close Jeff Burton in that 31 almost got involved in it?
And audio from Tony Stewart.
Come on. Oh, was still that. Right side's good. Looks like you knocked the fender off the left side now. Talladega racing looks like we tear up the whole damn field. Take your time, but we're going to be able to finish, but I think they can finish here. We're in better shape than some of us.
So Bob Jeffries.
Bob Jeffries,
Tony
yeah, his spotter trying to, man.
Yeah, Hamlin's coming apart.
I think we may have another little bit of a cleanup problem here.
That is the tread of the tire flailing around as it tries to disassociate itself from the carcass.
Now, I like that, Mike. I don't think I've ever heard it dislocate itself from the carcass.
Kasey Kahne, I don't know how many 4-leaf clovers there are in that car, but he just used another one.
This is the third time today.
They're wrecking up here. Back it down.
That he has had it's been a charm. I mean, he's gotten through 3 major wrecks.
Clint Bowyer, however, was not so lucky.
Stay up. Back up. Get all the way down. Turn left. Go.
Teammates Bowyer and Waltrip got connected there, as did teammates Hamlin and Logano toward the tail end of that one.
Watching these guys shifting up through the gears, they hadn't even gotten into high gear yet. They were still, Michael, I saw Harvick was in third. You saw right there that Bowyer was in third. They hadn't even gotten into high gear yet.
Look at Paul Menard's car. Let's talk gas mileage, because we've had 6 green-white checker finishes here, including in the spring race 2 years ago, 3 attempts at green-white checker, which meant an extra 12 laps, 32 miles.
Well, and that's the reason I don't like the fact, even though they felt they were safe, drivers not coming in and topping off. Brad Keselowski in the 2, he does not need this race to go on and on and on. He has not been to pit road since lap 142. Green-white checkers are not going to be his friend. That's the reason he's running down on the flat, trying to keep the fuel over to the fuel pickup.
You can see the left rear tire is flat on the 11, going down the back right there. And look at that whole left side of that car. The rear window, the C-post.
The foam that's in front of the rear wheel.
Yeah, all that
side
foam to
impact.
protect the driver. It's just ripping it right out there. And that part that's going around is the tire. They're going around up in there like a big old saw.
You think Talladega's tough? Wait till next Saturday night, right here on Fox. Tune in, you'll find out why they call it the track too tough to tame.
Yeah, they were even wrecking there about 5 minutes after the race last year.
Kevin Harvick has climbed from his car and walks away with 5 laps to go.
You just don't want to get out of your car and go back to another man's car on pit road.
That didn't work.
That doesn't work out too good.
There's a look at the garage area and the tri-oval here.
But you know,
now some concern, as we've discussed, about the top 5 cars and when they were last on pit road. Many of the cars in the lead lap didn't pit till lap 186 or 187.
Well, in the good news for these drivers, we have run about 12, 13, 14 caution laps. And it's a good 2-to-1 ratio on green to caution laps. So that may be the only thing. The one I'm most nervous about is Brad Keselowski, because we know from watching earlier in the race, the Dodgers were the first drivers to hit pit road every time we had green flag stops.
And they seem to have the most fuel, fuel pickup issues they've had a couple of times this year already.
Now, in addition to those 5, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 7th and Marcus Ambrose in 6th also stopped at lap 149. Let's see if we can answer the question and go to the leader's pit, Dick Berggren.
With Jimmy Fennick, his crew chief. Jimmy, enough gas for Matt Kenseth?
We should have enough. I just hope everybody else, our pushers, got enough. But it will be close, but we should have enough gas.
All right, Steve Burns.
Dick, I'm with Paul Wolf, the crew chief on the 2 car for Brad Keselowski. Are you guys okay on fuel?
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely close, but you know, with the cautions we've had previous to this one, it helped us out a little bit, and we're good for to go here. If we get another one, we'll probably have to come down and top off, but hopefully they get cleaned up here, and we'll keep the Miller Lite Dodge up front.
Thanks, Paul.
I think Jimmy Fennick, I think he nailed it. I think that Matt Kenseth, you don't want your pusher to run out of gas, and that's the question, who is that going to be? And here's Michael. He's got a lot of damage to the front of the old Dream machine there.
You know, Darrell, talking about, though, Matt Kenseth as Michael Waltrip comes back to pit road, I know he'd love to line up in a position on the outside to where Greg Biffle, his teammates behind him, but Kyle Busch probably can go further on fuel.
Larry, I'm seeing something on that fender right there that I don't know. I don't know what that is.
It's damaged. It's actually been there a while. It happened in the tri-oval a number of laps ago.
But it looks like it's really opened up like a big air pocket right there.
That's a scoop, and that will create drag right there.
Oh, yeah, and man.
It has been like that for a while, Darrell, but that car has been strong.
But you know, all these cracks happening in this race car, Dick Berggren was telling me at commercial break, think about it. He's had a bad vibration, and that can definitely play a toll on sheet metal.
That may be the worst vibration I ever saw right there.
Cue the Beach Boys. 3 laps to go in Talladega.
Research shows that over 99% of Americans
Laps to go in Talladega. Today's aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. Only DirecTV gives you dedicated driver channels, so you'll never miss a second of your driver's race. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Let's go to the pits of the 7th place car, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has at least 6 laps of fuel. Stevie, is he going to try to hook up with Trevor Bayne?
Well, I think at this point, National Guard's Chevy's been good all day. We've just been running a smart race, trying to keep the water in it, keep the fenders on. We've done that. Here we are in the top 10 on a green-white checker. It's all up to him now. Let's see what he does.
Good luck.
Thanks.
How'd he keep the fenders on it? Riding through this. Let's have another look.
And this is just really just not panicking. He could have very easily have just slammed on the brakes, but he stayed focused, got through it. Could be the winning move.
He was headed straight towards Paul Menard, that 27.
And I tell you what really worries me, that 17 has got that body damage on the right front. I just noticed his teammate Greg Biffle goes by. He's got some damage on the right side. Those two Fords have been potent all day long, but there's a couple of guys back there that 18 car, I don't think you've heard the last of him either.
We did not get the 1 to go sign that time by the start finish line. That's because the track crews are still working down in turn 1, and somebody's car, we'd surmise Denny Hamlin, shedding parts as we go around. A lot of speedy dry down in turn number 1 that they're going to have to work their way through.
You know, a driver that we need to shout out, David Reagan. You see Jimmy Johnson up on top of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s pit box. Jimmy Johnson having engine issues, but running in the 5th position, David Reagan in that 34 car, the winner from Daytona last July, all but won the Daytona 500 back in 2011 and swapped lanes and was penalized. There he is running in the 5th position.
And Larry, I think I know why. I bet Jeff Gordon's still here. I bet Jimmy Johnson's still here because they want to hang around. They've got 2 bullets out here. You got the 88 and the 5. 5's running 10th, 88's running 7th.
Don't say it. Rick told you not to talk about it.
Could be a good day for those boys.
1 to go with 3 laps to go. In yesterday's big one, in the Saturday race, Eric McClure was injured and transported to the University of Alabama Birmingham Hospital. A release from the team this afternoon indicates that Eric is stable and alert, undergoing tests and remains under observation. But Eric and his family wanted to express their thanks to the entire NASCAR community and fans for their thoughts, support, and concern.
Well, back in the day, a fuel cell saved a lot of lives. An interliner saved a lot of lives. There's no question in my mind that these safer barriers have saved a lot of lives.
Here's some audio from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team.
Appreciate it, CJ. You should be a crew chief. I was doing my media duties, man, talking about how spectacular you were going to be in these last 2 laps.
He must have been trying to talk to Steve Letarte while we were interviewing him. Steve was a little busy at that moment.
That's TJ Majors, Dale Jr.'s longtime spotter.
No, I know what it is. Junior he hadn't been in an argument with Steve all afternoon, and he's going to miss a chance if he doesn't do it now.
19 cars are on the lead lap. Some like Michael Waltrip, Paul Menard, and others with damage from one of these last 2 cautions. So there are probably 15 likely contenders for victory as we go green-white checker for the first time with 2 laps to go in the advertised 499-mile distance.
And may I say, folks, nobody is setting down. They haven't been for about the last 20 laps.
Now again, Matt Kenseth has chosen the outside lane. Is it quicker, or did he want his teammate, Greg Biffle, behind him because only the leader of the race gets lane choice?
Well, I know if it were me, and I've said it all along, you got to have help. You got to have a teammate. That's the best choice.
Keselowski had his hand out the window, perhaps signaling to Kyle Busch. Green flag and a lot of speedy dry down in turn 1. Here we go.
Keselowski was telling Kyle Busch, come on, let's go. But look at those 2 Fords. They just accelerate right, got on the bottom. Good choice on Matt Kenseth's part, got his teammate behind him.
The dust flies as those Fords try and fly away from the field.
Don't want to get too far out there.
You guys are clear by 4.
Look at that 17 car. This looks like Daytona all over again. Everybody complained about Greg Biffle not trying to pass Matt. He said, I couldn't get to him. He can't get to him now.
However, the field will accordion back together. Here comes Earnhardt with the 34 on the bottom.
There's
David
the guys
Reagan.
you got to watch on the outside, Larry. Here they come.
Look
the 2
at the
and
run.
the 18.
Keselowski in the 2. Look at the run. He's getting there with that push from Kyle Busch.
Did Matt Kenseth get too far out in front, or is he setting up for this? the last lap as they come to the line, 1 to go.
Well, you don't want to lead on the last lap, but I'm not sure that that's going to work out the way Matt thought it was when this is the white flag lap.
Junior up the outside, somebody steaming. In that pair, it's Kyle Busch, Casey Kane.
And the problem with Matt, he's got no help. He's all by himself.
But think about Kyle Busch. He lost the race yesterday by leading coming back to the checkered flag.
And also think about the movement in the triangle here. Right. Think about
It's a 2-horse race. Clint Boyer's gone Stanley Steamer. Up in turn number 3.
Hey, boys.
A car length apart, Kyle Busch from Keselowski.
It ain't over yet. Remember that start-finish line.
I don't think he's close enough, Darrell. I don't think he's close enough.
Brad Keselowski pulling away. It's all happening behind him, and Keselowski for the second time will go to victory lane in Talladega.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Hey, we had enough fuel, man.
Brad Keselowski gets his 6th Sprint Cup win in his 99th start, winning for Roger Penske and Paul Wolfe and Dodge. His last win came in Bristol in March.
How many years ago did you say it was that a Dodge won?
The first time, Darrell, in 36 years, when Dave Marcus did it for Nord Krauskopf in the K&K number 71 Charger. That's the last Dodge to go to victory lane here in the Cup race. Wow.
That just didn't work out for Matt Kenseth at all.
Nobody else could hear you. Thank you.
Keselowski crosses the stripe. And there's the gap to Kyle Busch. And for third, Matt Kenseth hangs on over Kyle Busch, then Biffle, Bowyer, Reagan, Earnhardt Jr., and Trevor Bayne.
Matt Kenseth's problem was couldn't nobody run with him. He had no help on that last lap.
So it appears that Kenseth did get too far out in front and lost the draft by being too far out.
And then when the 2 cars went by him, when the 2 car and the 18 went by him, he couldn't get on them, and there was nobody behind him to push him back up there until they got all the way over here to the trial.
I'd say Brad Keselowski getting his 2nd win now in 10 races. He's feeling already pretty good about making the chase.
Now this is coming down for the restart. He's just catching a little bit of air there.
I think he's just trying to get a breath of fresh air because he knows he's going to have to hold his breath for about a minute. I don't think there was any doubt in Matt Kenseth's mind at this point that he was going to win this race.
Wow.
Had his teammate behind him. They clear everybody, but he didn't have any help.
And for the first time in 5 Talladega races, the leader in the Trioval is the leader at the finish line.
Yeah, Kyle Busch he could not stay with Brad Keselowski.
The Michigan driver lights it up in start finish as his crew chief and team celebrate. Brad Keselowski is the winner in Talladega.
Time for the Sprint post-race show as we welcome you back to Talladega Superspeedway and the driver of the 2. Brad Keselowski, the 28-year-old holding off 27-year-old Kyle Busch to capture his 2nd Talladega victory. And for owner Roger Penske, first time ever for Penske in victory lane at Talladega. And the close inspection he clears. Meanwhile, Matt Kenseth, who dominated, led the most laps. He's standing by with our... All right, we're going to go to Kyle Busch with Matt Yoakum. Let's go to Matt.
Now, Chris, back at our pre-race, we caught up with Kyle Busch, and we discussed where you wanted to be on the last lap. Describe what happened on that last lap for you.
I don't know. We had a great M&M's car all day. Just phenomenal job by this JGR bunch to give me a good piece, and we were running up front there, and I didn't think we got connected soon enough, and they got away from us, and then we did get connected. The 2 and I drove by him, and then it was just a race between him and I, and somehow getting into turn 3, I just got disconnected from him, and once that happened, the race was over. It was all his. So not sure if he did anything. If he did, he's pretty smart, but I think our stuff just come unplugged.
All right, good run. Thanks. Chris?
Thank you. A bit of an upset, bit of a shock. He led a total of 10 laps, 516 miles here at Talladega. Brad Keselowski, your winner, and Steve Burns is in victory lane.
Well, thank you, Chris. Just now pulling into victory lane, and he taking his helmet off and his Hans device off, getting unplugged from his radio. Brad Keselowski, come on out and celebrate. Brad, I heard you say on at least 3 different occasions during this race that you were going to be patient. Was that the key to winning this race today?
Sure. Well, you know, Talladega, patience is a bit of an oxymoron because, you know, you got to go hard to win this race. And I went hard a little bit early there with Kurt and got with him. And I want to start by saying sorry, Kurt, if you're watching. You've been a great friend and a great teammate when I worked with you, and it's the last thing I wanted to see happen. That was just a miscommunication on our part. So I'm sorry about that, but great at the end, great racing. Just awesome. I think it was a perfect combination of the tandem and the pack racing, and it just fit our Miller Lite Dodge perfect. It was just really strong with that combo, and my guys did a great job all weekend.
Brad, walk us through your strategy at the end of the race.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of drivers that are going to watch the replay of the last 2 laps, but I had this whole plan if I ever got in that situation where I was leading, and I thought about it and dreamed about it, what to do, and sure enough, going into 3 was just me and Kyle, and I knew the move I wanted to pull, and it worked, you know, because the guy running second should have the advantage, but I had this move all worked up in my mind. Now everybody's seen it and they know it, but I'm glad I was able to get a win with it. You know, I went into turn 3 high and pulled down off of Kyle and broke the tandem up, which was what allowed me to drive on, you know, untouched to the checkered flag. But it wasn't easy to convince myself to do that, but it was the right move, and I'm glad it worked. Kyle did a great job. It was nice working with him. You know, we've had up and down history, and it was great to be able to work together to get a 1-2 finish. So I know he wanted to win too, but this win's really big for our Miller Lite team because, you know, 2 wins at the wild card and all that, you know, almost makes you immune to missing the chase. And this team is going to be strong come chase time. The best is yet to come for the Miller Lite Dodge.
Congratulations, Brad.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Chris Myers.
All right, thanks, Steve. And this race of attrition at Talladega, 19 cars knocked out of the race, by far the most this year. We had 11 back at Daytona, and the most leaders, 17, the most lead changes, 34. The one that mattered at the end was Brad Keselowski. A.J. Allmendinger involved in the wreck, that restart. Let's check in with Dick Berggren, who's with A.J.
A.J., tell us about the accident toward the end of the event.
Don't know. Haven't seen it yet, so I have no comment about it.
What was it like for you behind the wheel? What was going on?
Restart. Everybody's getting after it. I tried to block. If Denny was already there, my apologies. If not, then I don't know. But everybody on the Shell Pennzoil Dodge, on Penske organization, fast race cars, happy the 2-car won.
Okay, thank you.
Part of the 11-car wreck, 12-car wreck. Earlier there was a wreck involving 9 cars. We went the first 300 miles of this race with only 1 caution, and then there was an avalanche of caution flags. Meanwhile, Matt Kenseth led the most laps, and our Matt is standing by with him.
It looked like the stars and planets had lined up for the Daytona 500 champion. Matt, what happened in the last lap? Did you give him too much of a cushion?
Yeah, I mean, our best bet forward was really fast all day. Nobody could really stay locked to it, and they couldn't at Daytona either, and we had success in the 150s and the 500. So just a bad job by me at the end there. Greg gave me a great push, and we got over to turn 2, and by the time I realized he was separated by 4 car lengths, and I knew if I slowed up to him, them 2 were going to pass me, and I knew if I stayed in the gas, them 2 were going to pass me, so I just kind of waited for him to get back to me and kept going. So that was just a poor job in that last restart. I should have just drugged the brake and make sure he stayed sealed up so we had a chance.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Yep.
So Matt Kenseth now 0 for 25 in his career at Talladega. Let's get some final thoughts from Darrell, Larry, and Mike in this race. And Mike, you talked about Talladega being unpredictable, and Darrell started the day talking about having good vision, which Brad Keselowski had in the end.
Well, I'm glad Matt Kenseth, Chris, just explained how he lost that race, because he was the best car all day. He could get out front any time. He just got a little too far out front.
You know what? You don't say this very often. He was too fast, and he got the lead on the restart. But Biffle couldn't stay with him, and they got separated, and that made him a setting duck. And then the 2 and the 18 went by. But the move was Brad. The move he made in turn 3 and 4, when he went into the corner and drove it to the bottom, that broke the momentum of he and the 18, and he coasted to victory.
And Kyle Busch even said that in his interview. He said if he's that smart, he pulled something we've not seen, and then Brad Keselowski pretty much confirmed that move in victory lane, so they've created another little something new here for the final lap at Talladega and probably Daytona.
So a surprise move put Jeff Gordon on pole. Another surprise move puts Brad in victory lane over Kyle. Matt salvages third. Casey Payne, Biffle, the top 5. Biffle still the point leader. Clint Boyer, Reagan. Trevor Bayne, a nice rebound. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 9th. Jeff Burton, 10th.
Yeah, you saw David Reagan there, and how about David Gilliland there in the 38 car? That's 2 top 13 finishes for Front Row Motorsports here.
Michael Waltrip doesn't get to race often. 19th, lead lap finish. Kurt Busch.
Couple of really good
one lap
cars.
down.
The 11 and the 14 and the 29, 23rd, 24th, 25th. 3 cars that I thought had a shot at winning this thing.
And they all took a hit in the Sprint Cup standings as well as in the final tally. A lot of cars knocked out of the race and tough to the title hopes of Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman.
I think Jeff Gordon's getting to a point where he better win if he wants to get in.
Danger.
Won't do it.
He's in the danger zone there.
Chris?
All right, thanks, guys. Eric Almirola, one of those guys caught up in the war of attrition here, and our Chris Devoda is standing by with him.
A solid finish for Eric Almirola with the new crew chief. And, you know, plate racing can be so situational. If you had that situation with that wreck to do over, would you do the same thing?
Yeah, you know, we started to run out of fuel off of turn 2, and I switched to my auxiliary fuel pump, and it got even worse, and it quit running. So I was waving, trying to get down to the apron, and some of the guys behind me weren't able to check up, and we caused a big wreck there. But you know, it's unfortunate. I was sitting there looking. I watched my fuel pressure drop, looked down at my fuel pump switch to switch it. Next thing I know, I had my hands full trying to save our race car. So proud of everybody on the Verifone car. We had a pretty good car all weekend. You know, we were fastest in both practices and qualified fourth. So proud of Mike Ford. All the boys on this 43 team. Our Ford Fusion was fast. So it's a good weekend.
Thanks, Eric.
Good run for Eric, but it was Brad Keselowski with the best run here at Talladega in victory lane. We'll check the point standings after 10 races in the NASCAR Sprint Cup season. A lot more from Alabama in a moment. It was a work of art for Brad Keselowski in the 2-car, his second win of this season and the first Dodge in victory lane at Talladega since 1976. And as we put the finishing touches on an unusual, crazy race, Michael Waltrip, who's usually here in the Hollywood Hotel broadcasting with Fox, back behind the wheel driving, actually led 21 laps, and our Chris Devoda caught up with him moments ago.
Michael Waltrip with his dual roles today, and I know the plan was to team up with Denny Hamlin, but at these plate tracks, plans don't always work out.
Yeah, we took off, and the guy in front of me didn't go. I let off, and I got clobbered. It's just chain reaction. I'll tell you, I had a ball, though, and now I'm going to be better on Fox because those guys speak in code out there. It's crazy, and we're out there in the middle of them and seeing how they drive and the moves they make. I'm just really happy I got to experience it and hope for a better finish, but enjoyed myself.
We enjoyed it, too. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Krista. Michael, it was fun seeing you back out there. Restrictor plate racing. So after 10 of the 36-point races, remember at 26 we go to the chase. These are your point standings. Matt Kenseth gains a couple of spots, getting up to second. Dale Earnhardt Jr. running third. Denny Hamlin, a 2-time winner. Tony Stewart, a 2-time winner. Jimmy Johnson currently running 8th. Carl Edwards struggling a bit as we look at that second page. And notice where Brad Keselowski, he mentioned it. He was a wild card last year with a couple of wins already. Jeff Gordon, currently 23rd. Casey Kane, 19th, who actually picked up 4 spots at this race today. Tonight on Fox, you'll laugh out loud and be entertained. By the way, on a future Cleveland show, Tony Stewart, a couple of other NASCAR drivers, lends his voice to one of the programs. Next Saturday,